The fork froze halfway to my mouth when Vanessa's voice cut through the dining room like a blade through silk. So Simone, you're still unemployed, right? Her smile was sweet as poisoned honey, her eyes scanning the faces around my mother's dinner table. How long has it been now? 5 months. 3 months, I said quietly, setting the fork down on my plate. The roasted chicken suddenly looked unappetizing. Oh, just 3? Feels longer. Vanessa laughed, reaching over to squeeze my brother Trevor's arm. She wore an emerald green blouse that probably cost more than my monthly grocery budget, her perfectly manicured nails gleaming in the chandelier light. I don't know how you do it, honestly. I'd go crazy without structure in my day. Don't you get bored just sitting at home? Trevor chuckled, and that sound hurt more than Vanessa's words. My older brother, who used to defend me on the playground, who taught me to ride a bike, was laughing at me. Vanessa just got promoted, Trevor announced proudly, his arms sliding around her shoulders. She's the new senior project manager at TechVista Solutions. Youngest person to ever hold that position. Congratulations, I managed, my voice barely above a whisper. Thank you. Vanessa preened, tossing her straightened hair over her shoulder. The salary increase is substantial. Not that I like to brag, but let's just say I'm doing quite well for myself. 26 and already making 6 figures. Some of us just have that drive, you know? My mother cleared her throat from the head of the table, her eyes meeting mine with disappointment I'd seen too many times lately. Simone, maybe Vanessa could give you some job hunting tips. Clearly, she knows how to impress employers. The words landed like stones in my stomach. My own mother, siding with the woman who'd been dating my brother for only 2 months, over her own daughter. I appreciate the offer, I said carefully, but I'm managing. Managing? My Aunt Patricia spoke up from across the table, her eyebrows raised. Sweetie, you can't manage on nothing. Your mother told me you've been applying everywhere with no luck. Maybe you're doing something wrong in the interviews. I hadn't told my mother that. I hadn't told anyone much of anything lately. But clearly my mother had been talking about me, painting me as the family failure. The job market is tough right now, my cousin Dennis added, though his tone was more sympathetic than the others. But you've got that business degree. Something will come through. Eventually, Vanessa said, her voice dripping with false concern. Though I have to say, in my field, if you're out of work for more than a few months, employers start to wonder if something's wrong with you. Like maybe you're just not good at what you do. The table went quiet. Too quiet. No one rushed to my defense. Not Trevor, not my mother, not even Dennis, who just tried to be encouraging. I'm sure Simone is trying her best, my mother finally said, but even that felt like a consolation prize. We just wish you'd be more ambitious, honey. You're making the family look bad, still living at home at 25, no job, no prospects. My chest tightened. Living at home. My mother made it sound like I was freeloading when I paid rent every month from my dwindling savings. When I did all my own cooking, cleaning, never asked for handouts. At least she has family to fall back on, Vanessa continued, her voice sugary sweet. My parents cut me off the day I graduated college. Said I needed to make my own way. Best thing they ever did for me. Made me hungry, you know? Made me fight for everything. The implication was clear. I wasn't hungry. I wasn't fighting. I was lazy, unmotivated, content to sponge off my family. Trevor kissed Vanessa's temple. That's my girl. Self-made and gorgeous. I swallowed hard, trying to push down the burning sensation in my throat. Don't cry. Don't give them the satisfaction. Vanessa was just telling me about the new project she's leading, my mother continued, clearly trying to change the subject now that she'd made her point about my failures. It sounds very impressive. Oh, it is. Vanessa leaned forward, animated. We're completely restructuring the digital infrastructure for 3 major clients. I'm overseeing a team of 15 people. The CEO specifically requested me for this. Said I was the only one he trusted with something this big. She went on, detailing her importance, her accomplishments, how essential she was to the company. With each word I felt smaller. With each glance around the table at my family's impressed faces, I felt more invisible. The best part, Vanessa said, lowering her voice like she was sharing a secret, is that corporate brought in some consultant to audit our department. They do this every year, looking for inefficiencies and problem employees. But I'm not worried. My record speaks for itself. I've increased productivity by 30% since I started. My fingers tightened around my napkin under the table. A consultant. To audit her department. At TechVista Solutions. When does this audit start? I heard myself ask. Vanessa glanced at me, surprised I'd spoken. Next week. What? You thinking of applying to be someone's assistant?" She laughed at her own joke. "No offense, but I don't think you're qualified for anything at my company. We only hire the best." Trevor laughed again. "So did my Aunt Patricia." Even my mother's lips twitched. "Just curious," I said softly. The dinner dragged on for another hour. Vanessa dominated the conversation, talking about her achievements, her designer shoes, her upcoming vacation to Bali that her salary afforded her. Every so often she'd throw in a comment about some people being content with mediocrity, or how important it was to have ambition. No one told her to stop. No one changed the subject. They all just nodded along, agreeing that yes, ambition was important. Yes, hard work paid off. Yes, some people just didn't have what it took to succeed. When I finally excused myself, claiming a headache, my mother looked relieved. Like my presence had been the uncomfortable thing at dinner, not Vanessa's constant attacks. "Feel better, sweetheart," she said, but her attention was already back on Vanessa, asking about her skincare routine. I grabbed my jacket and purse, heading for the door. Trevor caught me in the hallway. "Hey." He looked uncomfortable, his hands shoved in his pockets. "Don't take what Vanessa said personally. She's just, passionate about success. She called me lazy in front of the entire family, Trevor." "She didn't say lazy exactly." He shifted his weight. "Look, I get it. You're going through a rough patch. But maybe some tough love is what you need." Vanessa pulled herself up by her bootstraps. "Maybe you could learn something from her." I stared at my brother, this person I used to know, who now looked at me like I was a burden. A disappointment. A cautionary tale. "Yeah," I said finally. "Maybe I could." I walked to my car, hands shaking as I unlocked the door. Only when I was safely inside, doors locked, did I let myself pull out my phone. The screen lit up with notifications. 3 emails from potential clients. 1 message from my business partner confirming our meeting. And 1 very important email I'd been waiting for all week. Subject: Contract approved, TechVista Solutions Consulting Agreement. I read it twice, my heart pounding. Then I looked back at my mother's house, all lit up and cheerful, full of people who thought I was nothing. They had no idea. None of them did. I started the car and drove away, a plan forming in my mind. Next week was going to be very interesting. Vanessa wanted to talk about audits and consultants and company restructuring? Perfect. I had some things to say about that too. 3 months earlier, I'd walked out of Patterson and Associates for the last time with a cardboard box of desk supplies and a severance check that wouldn't last half as long as they promised. The company was downsizing, they said. Nothing personal, they said. 23 people let go in one day, including me. I'd called my mother from the parking lot, voice shaking, needing comfort. "Oh, Simone." Her sigh traveled through the phone like disappointment made audible. "What did you do?" "Nothing. They're downsizing the entire department." "But why you? Why not someone else?" As if I'd somehow volunteered to lose my income. "This is going to reflect poorly on you. Future employers will wonder why you were chosen." "No, I'm sorry." "No, are you okay?" Just immediate concern about how my job loss would look to others. Trevor's response had been worse. He'd actually laughed when I told him, "Guess you should have worked harder. Made yourself indispensable." That was when I stopped calling my family with problems. That was when I realized I was on my own. The first week after losing my job, I applied everywhere. Entry-level positions, mid-level positions, anything remotely related to my business degree. I got 3 interviews. All 3 ended with polite rejections. The second week, I sat in my small bedroom at my mother's house and took stock. The walls were the same pale blue from my teenage years, covered with old achievement certificates from high school. Debate team captain. Honor roll. Scholarship recipient. That girl had been so confident, so sure the world would reward hard work. That girl had been naive. My savings account showed $8,000. Rent to my mother was $600 monthly. Car payment, insurance, phone, groceries, that would eat through the money in less than 6 months. I needed income and I needed it fast. That's when I remembered Theo. We'd gone to college together, both business majors, both convinced we'd change the world. He'd started a consulting firm 2 years ago, specializing in tech companies. He tried to recruit me then, but I'd been comfortable at Patterson and Associates. Comfortable and complacent. I called him. "Simone." His voice was warm, surprised. "It's been what, a year?" "About that. Listen, I have a proposition." We met at The Grind, a small coffee shop 3 blocks from my mother's house. The place was tiny, just 6 tables and a long counter, but the owner kept it immaculately clean and the coffee was good. Theo was already there when I arrived, his laptop open, papers spread across the table. "You want to join the firm?" he said before I even sat down. "No question, just statement." "How did you know?" "You only call me when you need something, and last week I saw on LinkedIn that Patterson dumped you." He grinned, taking the sting out of the words. "Plus, I know that look. That's the look of someone who's done playing it safe." Over coffee that turned cold while we talked, Theo laid out the opportunity. His firm, Sterling Solutions. Wait, no, I can't use Sterling. Let me rename it. His firm, Apex Consulting, had more clients than he could handle. He needed someone smart, someone with fresh eyes, someone hungry. "The pay is commission-based at first," he warned. "You land clients, you get a percentage. Big clients, big percentages. But it's risky. Some months you might make nothing." "Better than definitely making nothing," I said. We shook hands. I was officially a consultant. The owner of the grind, a man in his 40s named Jordan, came by to refill our cups. "You two look like you're plotting to take over the world." "Just a small piece of it," Theo said. Jordan smiled. "Good. The world needs shaking up sometimes." He glanced at me. "You're here most mornings, right? Always on that laptop." I felt my cheeks warm. I hadn't realized anyone noticed me. "Yeah. I like the atmosphere." "Well, you're always welcome. And if you need the Wi-Fi password or a quiet corner for calls, just let me know." He moved to the next table and I watched him go. Tall, with kind eyes and an easy smile. He wore a red apron over a simple black shirt, and there was flour on his forearm like he'd been baking. "Earth to Simone." Theo waved a hand in front of my face. "Sorry? What?" I said, "Your first assignment. I need you to put together a proposal for a mid-sized tech company. They're looking to streamline their project management systems. Think you can handle it?" "Absolutely." That night, I worked until 3 a.m. on the proposal. Then 3 a.m. became my normal bedtime. I'd wake at 7, shower, and head to the grind. Jordan always had my usual ready, a large coffee with cream, no sugar. He never asked why I was there so early, why I looked exhausted, why my laptop was always open. But 2 weeks into my new venture, he sat down across from me during a slow morning. "Okay, I have to ask. What are you working on that has you looking like you haven't slept in days?" I hesitated, then figured, what did it matter? "I'm building a consulting business. Trying to, anyway." "That's ambitious. Going well?" "I landed my first client last week. Small project, but it's a start." His face lit up. "That's fantastic. Congratulations." "Thanks. My family doesn't exactly share your enthusiasm." "Why not?" I told him about my mother's disappointment, about Trevor's dismissive attitude, about how everyone kept asking when I was going to get a real job. Jordan listened without interrupting, his expression growing more thoughtful. "Can I tell you something?" he said when I finished. "When I bought this place 5 years ago, my family thought I was insane. I had a good job in finance, benefits, 401k, the whole package. But I hated it. So I bought a struggling coffee shop with my savings. Let me guess. They told you that you were throwing your life away. Every single day for the first year. Then the shop started making money. Real money. Now they all want free coffee and advice on following their dreams." He shook his head, amused. "Point is, people who play it safe will never understand people who take risks. Don't let them make you small." His words stuck with me. Don't let them make you small. Over the next month, I landed 3 more clients. Small projects, but each one taught me something. I learned how to negotiate fees, how to deliver presentations with confidence, how to identify problems companies didn't even know they had. Then Trevor started dating Vanessa. He brought her to Sunday dinner at my mother's house 6 weeks ago. She was beautiful, polished, successful. Everything I apparently wasn't. My mother loved her immediately. "Finally," she'd said to Trevor, loud enough for me to hear. "A woman with ambition." Vanessa had been polite to me that first dinner. Curious about what I did, though her eyes glazed over when I tried to explain consulting. The second dinner, she was less polite. More competitive. She made sure everyone knew about her promotion, her salary, her achievements. By the third dinner, she'd stopped pretending to be nice. "Still doing that little consulting thing?" she'd asked, her tone suggesting I was selling friendship bracelets at a craft fair. "Yes. It's going well." "That's sweet. Everyone needs a hobby." A hobby. Like the 50-hour weeks I was putting in were just a cute pastime. Trevor never defended me. Neither did my mother. They'd both bought into Vanessa's narrative that she was the successful one, the role model, the person to emulate. And me? I was the cautionary tale. The failure. The one still figuring things out at 25. What they didn't know was that I'd been working on something big. Really big. Theo had connected me with a potential client, a major tech company looking to completely overhaul their project management structure. The kind of contract that could establish my reputation permanently. The company was called TechVista Solutions. I'd submitted my proposal 4 weeks ago, not knowing that Trevor's new girlfriend worked there. Not knowing that she'd be one of the people affected by the audit I was proposing. After tonight's dinner, after Vanessa's public humiliation of me, I checked my email in the car. The contract had been approved. Signed. Official. Starting Monday, I would be walking into TechVista Solutions as the lead consultant on their biggest project of the year. And Vanessa, the woman who just called me lazy and unmotivated in front of my entire family, would be one of the employees I'd be evaluating. I sat in the grind the next morning, staring at the contract on my laptop screen. Jordan appeared with my coffee. "You look like someone who just got very good news and very complicated news at the same time," he observed. That's exactly what happened. He sat down without asking. We'd fallen into this routine over the past months. Morning coffee and honest conversation. I'd learned he was divorced, no kids, had put everything into making this shop successful. He'd learned about my family situation, my business struggles, my determination to prove everyone wrong. "Tell me," he said simply. So I did. I told him about the contract, about TechVista, about Vanessa. About last night's dinner and the humiliation. About how I now had to decide whether to be professional or petty. "What's the professional move?" he asked. "Go in, do my job, keep it strictly business. Don't mention the connection to anyone unless asked directly. And the petty move? Show up Monday morning and watch her face when she realizes who I am." Jordan was quiet for a moment, stirring sugar into his own coffee. "Can I suggest option 3? "I'm listening." "Do your job. Do it brilliantly. Let your work speak for itself. But don't go out of your way to either protect her or expose her. If she's as good as she claims, your audit will show that. If she's not, then the truth comes out naturally." "Exactly. You don't need revenge, Simone. You just need to be yourself. That's already more than enough." I nodded slowly, feeling some of the anger from last night drain away. He was right. This wasn't about Vanessa. This was about me finally getting the chance to prove what I could do. "Thanks, Jordan." "Anytime. That's what friends are for." Friends. The word settled warmly in my chest. When had Jordan become my friend? Somewhere between the late-night coffee sessions and the early morning pep talks, I supposed. Somewhere between him teaching me his secret for making perfect foam art and me helping him set up his business's social media accounts. I spent the rest of that day preparing. I reviewed every detail of TechVista's structure, memorized the names of department heads, studied their quarterly reports. By Sunday evening, I knew more about Vanessa's company than she probably did. My mother called that night. "Simone, I wanted to apologize for yesterday." My hand tightened around the phone. "Okay. It's just that we worry about you. You're so smart, so capable, but you're not applying yourself. Seeing Vanessa's success, it just highlights your own struggles." There it was. The non-apology apology. "I'm sorry you're a disappointment. Mom, I need to go. I have an early morning tomorrow." "Doing what?" "More job hunting." Something like that. After we hung up, I stood in front of my closet. What does a consultant wear to potentially blow up her brother's relationship? I settled on a royal blue suit, professional but bold, paired with cream heels and simple jewelry. Tomorrow, I would walk into TechVista Solutions not as the unemployed little sister, but as the expert they'd hired. That night, I barely slept. Not from anxiety but from anticipation. 3 months of grinding, of doubt, of humiliation, all leading to this moment. Monday morning arrived bright and clear. I was dressed and out the door by 6 a.m., stopping at the grind for coffee and courage. Jordan took one look at me and grinned. "Today's the day. Today's the day." He made my coffee, then grabbed a marker and wrote on the cup, "You've got this." Simple words, but they steadied my nerves. "Go show them who you are," he said. I drove to TechVista Solutions with Jordan's words echoing in my mind, the morning sun glinting off the glass building as I pulled into the parking garage. This was it. This was my moment to step out of the shadows my family had put me in. Time to shine. The TechVista Solutions building was all glass and steel, reaching 15 stories into the morning sky. I'd driven past it 100 times, never imagining I'd walk through those doors as anything other than maybe someone's assistant. Now I was walking in as the lead consultant on their most important project of the quarter. I checked in at the front desk, where a security guard verified my credentials and handed me a visitor badge. 15th floor, Ms. Brooks. They're expecting you in conference room A. The elevator ride felt both too fast and too slow. I caught my reflection in the polished doors. The woman staring back at me looked confident, professional, nothing like the girl who'd sat quietly while being mocked 3 nights ago. The elevator dinged. 15th floor. This was it. The conference room was already full when I arrived. 8 people sat around a long table, all dressed professionally, all looking at me with varying degrees of curiosity and skepticism. A woman in her 50s stood at the head of the table, her silver hair cut in a sharp bob. Ms. Brooks, welcome. I'm Patricia Morrison, Chief Operations Officer. She extended her hand, her grip firm. We're very impressed with your proposal. Please have a seat. I sat, setting my briefcase on the table and pulling out my tablet. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm looking forward to working with your team. Let me introduce everyone. Patricia went around the table. Department heads, senior managers, team leads. I memorized each name, each face, each role. Vanessa wasn't there. Of course she wasn't. Senior project managers wouldn't be in the initial meeting. They'd be the ones I interviewed later, the ones whose work I'd be examining. Before we begin, Patricia said, I want to be clear about our expectations. TechVista has grown rapidly in the past 2 years. That growth has been exciting but also chaotic. We need someone to come in with fresh eyes and tell us what's working and what isn't. No sugarcoating, no politics. Can you do that? That's exactly what I do, I replied. My job is to identify inefficiencies, redundancies, and areas for improvement. Some of what I find might be uncomfortable to hear, but it will be honest. Good. Because we've had consultants before who told us what they thought we wanted to hear. That doesn't help anyone. Over the next 2 hours, we discussed the project scope. I'd be spending 6 weeks embedded in their organization, observing workflows, interviewing staff, analyzing data. At the end, I'd deliver a comprehensive report with recommendations. I'll need full access, I said. Files, meetings, team communications. I can't do a thorough audit with limited information. You'll have it, Patricia assured me. I'll send out a company-wide email this afternoon introducing you. Everyone will be instructed to cooperate fully. After the meeting, Patricia walked me to the elevator. Between you and me, there are some people in this company who've been coasting. Getting by on personality rather than performance. I'm hoping your audit will shine a light on that. If it's happening, I'll find it. She smiled. That's what I like to hear. Oh, and Ms. Brooks? Some of our employees might try to charm you or befriend you to influence your findings. Don't let them. I won't. The elevator doors closed and I let out a breath I'd been holding. First meeting, success. Now came the real work. I spent the afternoon in the small office they'd assigned me, reviewing personnel files and project reports. TechVista had 200 employees across various departments. I'd need to interview at least 50 of them, examine dozens of projects, analyze countless hours of data. Around 4 p.m. my phone buzzed. A text from Theo. How did it go? Better than expected. This is huge, Theo. I know. Don't mess it up. Thanks for the vote of confidence. You know what I mean. This could make both our careers. TechVista is connected to half the tech companies in the state. Do good work here, we'll have clients lined up for years. He was right. This wasn't just about proving myself to my family anymore. This was about building something real, something lasting. I stayed late that first day getting my bearings, making notes, planning my approach. When I finally left the building at 8 p.m., I was exhausted but energized. The grind was closed by the time I drove past, but Jordan had texted earlier, "How's the first day going?" I called him from my car. It's massive. The company is bigger than I thought, more complex. But I think I can handle it. Of course you can. You've been preparing for this your whole life, you just didn't know it. Can I ask you something? Always. Why are you so nice to me? You barely know me. Jordan was quiet for a moment. I see myself in you, I guess. When I bought the grind, I was terrified. Everyone told me I was making a mistake. But there was this one person, a customer, who came in every day and told me I was doing great. That I should keep going. Those little encouragements kept me afloat during the hard days. And now you're doing that for me. Paying it forward. Plus you're good company. You don't complain about my experimental drink recipes. I laughed, some of the day's tension releasing. The lavender latte was interesting. Interesting good or interesting bad? Still deciding. Over the next 2 weeks I fell into a routine. Mornings at the grind with Jordan, days at TechVista conducting interviews and reviewing projects, evenings back at my mother's house working late into the night on my analysis. My family didn't know what I was doing. They thought I was still job hunting, still failing. My mother would make passive-aggressive comments about me using too much electricity, staying up late. Trevor stopped calling altogether, too wrapped up in Vanessa. Fine by me. The less they knew, the better. At Tech Vista, I was building a picture of the company. Some departments ran like clockwork, efficient and productive. Others were disasters, plagued by poor leadership and unclear goals. And then there was Vanessa's department. I interviewed her team members first, saving Vanessa herself for last. What I learned was troubling. Her team described a work environment heavy on pressure but light on support. Projects were often rushed, corners cut to meet unrealistic deadlines. When I asked about Vanessa's leadership style, people chose their words carefully. She's very focused on results, one team member said diplomatically. She expects a lot, said another. No one said she was a bad manager outright, but no one praised her either. The silence was telling. I dug into the projects Vanessa had claimed credit for. The ones she'd bragged about at family dinner, the ones that supposedly proved her brilliance. 3 of them had been started by other team members. Vanessa had taken them over midway through and claimed full credit in the final reports to upper management. 2 others had significant problems that were being covered up. Bugs in the code, client complaints that were smoothed over but not actually addressed, budgets that were fudged to look better than they were. I documented everything carefully, professionally. This wasn't about revenge. This was about honest assessment. If Vanessa was doing good work, I'd say so. If she wasn't, I'd say that too. Jordan listened to my findings each morning over coffee. How do you feel about all this? Honestly? Validated. Not in a petty way but in a, my instincts were right, way. Vanessa presents this perfect image, but underneath, there are cracks. Are you going to tell Trevor? Not my place. I'm here to do a job, not manage my brother's love life. Even if his girlfriend is potentially hurting his reputation by association? That stopped me. I hadn't thought about it that way. If Vanessa got fired or demoted based on my findings, it would affect Trevor too. His judgment would be questioned. His family would wonder why he'd chosen her. I can't protect him from the consequences of his choices, I said finally. He's an adult. Fair enough. Just make sure you're prepared for the fallout. The 3rd week, I finally interviewed Vanessa. She'd been dodging me, claiming scheduling conflicts, too many meetings, urgent deadlines. Patricia had to personally order her to make time. She showed up to the interview 15 minutes late, wearing a designer pantsuit in cream and gold, looking annoyed. Sorry, crazy busy day. She sat across from me in my tiny office, glancing around with barely concealed disdain. Let's make this quick. She still didn't recognize me. The professional clothes, the different context, the fact that I was the one in authority here, it had all combined to make me invisible to her. I was just another consultant, another obstacle in her day. I appreciate you taking the time, I said neutrally. I just have some questions about your projects and management approach. For the next hour, I asked her about the work she'd claimed. Her answers were polished, rehearsed, the same lines she'd probably used to impress executives. But when I dug deeper, asking for specifics about decision-making processes or technical details, she faltered. I delegate a lot of the technical work, she said when I asked about coding decisions on one project. That's what good managers do. Of course. Who specifically did you delegate that to? I'd have to check my notes. I made a note on my tablet. And this project here, the client interface redesign. The initial proposal has a different name on it. Can you explain how you became the lead? Her eyes narrowed slightly. The original lead wasn't performing. I stepped in to save the project. I see. Did the original lead receive credit for their work? I'm not sure what you're implying. I'm not implying anything. I'm asking for clarification. I kept my voice calm, professional. In your role, how do you ensure team members get appropriate recognition for their contributions? Everyone on my team knows I value their input. That's good to hear. Several team members I interviewed mentioned feeling undervalued. Do you have any thoughts on that? Vanessa's polished facade cracked. Who said that? That's completely false. My team loves working for me. I'm not at liberty to share specific sources. But I appreciate your perspective. I made another note. Let's move on to budget management. The interview continued, growing more tense with each question. By the end, Vanessa's friendly mask had completely dropped. Is there anything else? She asked coldly. Just one thing. Do you know Simone Brooks personally? Her eyes widened. Just a fraction, but enough. Why would you ask that? Professional thoroughness. making sure there are no conflicts of interest. No, she said too quickly. I don't know any Simone Brooks. Interesting. Thank you for your time. She stood, grabbing her designer purse. At the door she paused. You know, consultants like you come in and out of companies all the time. You write your little reports, collect your fees and leave. But we're the ones who actually do the work. Remember that. After she left, I sat back in my chair processing. She'd lied. She'd claimed not to know me, even though we'd sat at the same dinner table 4 times. Even though she'd spent hours mocking me to my face. The denial was strategic, obviously. If she admitted knowing me, it could compromise her position. But it also told me something important. She saw me as a threat now, even without knowing who I really was. I spent the next week compiling my findings. The truth was messy. TechVista had real problems, but they also had incredible potential. Some departments were stellar. Others needed complete overhauls. And Vanessa? She was exactly what I'd suspected. Ambitious but unethical. Successful but only by standing on other people's work. My report would be honest, fair, and devastating for anyone who'd been cutting corners. Thursday evening, I was packing up to leave when my phone rang. Trevor. Hey little sis. Haven't talked to you in a while. You've been busy. Yeah, Vanessa and I have been inseparable. She's amazing, Simone. I think she might be the one. The one. After 2 months, I bit back a dozen responses. That's great, Trevor. Listen, I was hoping you could do me a favor. Vanessa mentioned there's some consultant poking around her company, asking a lot of questions. Making her uncomfortable. Could you maybe look into who this person is? Use some of your business connections. I almost laughed. Why would Vanessa need me to look into a consultant? She's worried it might be someone with a vendetta. You know how corporate politics can be. I figured with your consulting work you might know people who know people. My consulting work that you called a hobby? Silence. Come on, Simone. Don't be like that. I'm not being like anything. I'm just busy with my own projects. Fine. Forget I asked. He hung up. I sat there, phone in hand, processing what had just happened. Trevor had called me for help, for Vanessa's benefit, without once asking how I was doing or acknowledging that his girlfriend had humiliated me. The audacity was almost impressive. Jordan was waiting for me at the grind when I stopped by on my way home. He'd started staying open late on Thursdays just so we could talk. You look like someone who just had a frustrating phone call, he observed. I told him about Trevor's request. Jordan shook his head. He really doesn't see it, does he? What she did to you. He sees what he wants to see. A successful, beautiful woman who makes him look good. You deserve better. From your family, I mean. I know. I sipped my coffee, which Jordan had made with extra care, creating a perfect heart in the foam. Can I tell you something? I'm starting to not care what they think. These past few weeks, building this career, doing work that matters, it's been freeing. Good. You shouldn't care. They'll either come around or they won't. But either way, you'll be fine. When did you get so wise? Comes with age and making a lot of mistakes. He smiled and something in my chest warmed. For what it's worth, I think you're doing something incredible. Building a business from nothing, refusing to compromise your values, staying professional even when you have every right to be angry. That takes real strength. Thanks, Jordan. We talked until midnight about everything and nothing. About his dreams for expanding the grind, about my plans for growing my consulting business, about the books we were reading and the shows we were watching. It occurred to me that I was happier in this small coffee shop with Jordan than I'd been at any family dinner in months. When I finally got home, my mother was still awake, watching television in the living room. You're home late, she said. Not concerned, just observational. Work ran long. Still doing that consulting thing? Yes, Mom. Still doing that. Well, Trevor called earlier. Said you were being unhelpful about something Vanessa needed. Vanessa will be fine. She's part of this family now, Simone. We need to support her. I stopped at the bottom of the stairs, my hand on the railing. She's been dating Trevor for 2 months. And she's already more accomplished than most people are in a lifetime. We could all learn from her. Right. Well, I need to get some sleep. In my room, I opened my laptop and pulled up my report. 2 more weeks until I presented it to Patricia and the executive team. 2 more weeks until everything changed. I was ready. Friday morning started like most others. The grind was quiet, just a few early customers nursing their coffees and scrolling through phones. Jordan had my usual ready when I walked in, but this time he'd added something new to the cup. Caramel drizzle, he explained. You looked like you needed something sweet. How did you know? Lucky guess. Plus you have that look. The one you get before something big happens. He was right. Today was the day I submitted my preliminary findings to Patricia Morrison. Not the full report yet, but enough to give TechVista's leadership a sense of what I'd discovered. My phone rang while I was reviewing my notes. Unknown number. Ms. Brooks? This is Patricia Morrison. I straightened in my seat. Good morning, Ms. Morrison. I hope I'm not calling too early. I wanted to touch base before you submit your preliminary report this afternoon. Do you have a moment? Of course. I've been hearing things. Whispers really. Some of our staff are nervous about what you might have found. One person in particular has been making inquiries about you, trying to find out if you have any connections to current employees. Vanessa. Had to be. I can assure you my findings are based solely on professional observation and documented evidence, I said carefully. No personal biases or conflicts of interest. I believe you. But I wanted to give you a heads up. There might be some pushback when you present your findings. Some people are very invested in maintaining the status quo. I understand. My report will speak for itself. After we hung up, I sat back and processed. Vanessa was worried. Good. She should be. I spent the morning at my office at TechVista, finalizing my preliminary findings. The report was 30 pages of detailed analysis, backed by interviews, project reviews, and data. Some departments received glowing assessments. Others received warnings about inefficiencies. And Vanessa's department? The findings were damning. At 2 p.m., I submitted the report to Patricia via secure email. My phone buzzed almost immediately. Received. I'll review this weekend and we'll meet Monday to discuss. Excellent work, Ms. Brooks. I drove home feeling lighter than I had in weeks. The hard part was done. Whatever happened next was out of my hands. Trevor called as I was walking into my mother's house. Simone, we need to talk. About what? About you sabotaging Vanessa's career. I stopped in the hallway, keys still in my hand. Excuse me? She told me everything. How there's some consultant at her company who's targeting her specifically. Asking questions designed to make her look bad. Interviewing her team and twisting their words. Trevor, you have no idea what you're talking about. Don't I? Vanessa said this consultant has been obsessed with her from day one. Focusing all their attention on her department, ignoring everyone else. It's a hit job and I want to know who hired them. I could have told him the truth right then. Could have explained that I was the consultant, that I'd been hired to do exactly what I was doing, that his girlfriend's work didn't hold up to scrutiny. But something stopped me. Maybe it was the absolute certainty in his voice. The way he'd already decided I was wrong and Vanessa was right. The way he'd called to accuse me without even asking for my side. If Vanessa has concerns about the audit process, she should take them up with her leadership team, I said calmly. That's the appropriate channel. You're not even going to deny it. Deny what? That I'm somehow responsible for an audit at a company I don't even work at? Trevor, I have my own projects to worry about. Whatever. Just stay out of it. He hung up. I stood in the hallway, phone in hand, processing what had just happened. Vanessa had played the victim card perfectly. She'd convinced Trevor that she was being targeted, that someone had it out for her. And Trevor, predictably, had believed every word. My mother appeared from the kitchen. Was that Trevor? He sounded angry. He's fine. Is this about Vanessa? He mentioned she's having trouble at work. I wouldn't know anything about that. My mother studied me, her eyes narrowed. Simone, if you're doing something to hurt that girl out of jealousy. Jealousy? The word came out sharper than I intended. Why would I be jealous? Because she has everything you want. A good job, respect, a relationship with your brother. Maybe you're trying to bring her down to your level. The accusation hung in the air between us. My own mother thinking the worst of me. Assuming that I was petty enough, small enough, to sabotage someone out of spite. I need to make some calls, I said, turning away before she could see the hurt on my face. In my room, I sat on my bed and tried to steady my breathing. This was fine. Everything was fine. Monday, I'd present my findings. Patricia would see the truth. None of this family drama mattered. My phone buzzed. A text from Jordan. How did the submission go? Good. Complicated. Can I call you? Always. His voice was warm when he answered. Talk to me. I told him about Trevor's call, about my mother's accusation, about how my family had already decided I was the villain in whatever story Vanessa was spinning. They don't even know you're the consultant, Jordan said slowly. Which means Vanessa doesn't either. Not yet. But she will on Monday. How do you think she'll react? Honestly, I have no idea. Part of me thinks she'll try to spin it, claim I'm biased because of the family connection. But that falls apart pretty quickly since she's the one who lied about knowing me. This is going to be messy. I know. But I can't back down now. I've done good work. Professional work. If I let family dynamics compromise that, I'm no better than she is. You're nothing like she is, Jordan said firmly. You're honest, ethical. Those things matter. We talked for another hour, Jordan helping me work through scenarios and responses. When we finally hung up, I felt steadier. Ready. Saturday morning, I went to the grind early. Jordan was there alone, setting up for the day. You're here early, he said, surprised. Couldn't sleep. Figured I'd come bother you. Bother away. He started making my coffee without asking. Big presentation Monday? Biggest of my career. If this goes well, it could open doors I never imagined. If it goes badly, well, I might be permanently known as the consultant who let family drama compromise her work. It won't go badly. You're too good at what you do. You have a lot of faith in me. Someone should. He set my coffee down, then surprised me by sitting across from me instead of going back to work. Can I tell you something? Of course. When I first saw you come in here months ago, you looked lost. Not physically but emotionally. Like you were searching for something and didn't know what. Over these past months, I've watched you find it. That confidence, that sense of purpose. It's incredible to witness. My throat tightened. Jordan. I'm not finished. What I'm trying to say is that no matter what happens Monday, you've already succeeded. You've built something real. You've proven to yourself that you can do this. That's worth more than any presentation. Thank you, I managed. That means a lot. You mean a lot. The words hung in the air, loaded with something unspoken. Jordan seemed to realize what he'd said, clearing his throat awkwardly. To your success, I mean. You're a valued customer and friend. Right. Friend. But something had shifted. Some line had been crossed or maybe just acknowledged. I finished my coffee quickly, suddenly feeling exposed. I should go. Let you get back to work. Simone, wait. Did I make things weird? No. Maybe. I don't know. I grabbed my bag. I just need to focus on Monday. One thing at a time. I spent the rest of the weekend preparing my presentation. Patricia had scheduled a meeting for Monday afternoon with the entire executive team. I'd have 1 hour to present my findings and recommendations. Sunday evening, my mother knocked on my bedroom door. Simone? Can we talk? About what? She came in, closing the door behind her. About what I said the other day. About jealousy. That was unfair. I waited, not making it easy for her. It's just that you've been so secretive lately. Always on your computer, always busy, but never telling us what you're working on. It makes me worry. And assuming I'm sabotaging Trevor's girlfriend makes sense to you? When you put it like that, no. It doesn't. She sat on my bed, her hands folded in her lap. I know I haven't been very supportive of your career change. The consulting work. It scared me watching you take such a big risk. What? Because you didn't think I could succeed? Because I didn't want to watch you fail. It's different. Is it? Because from where I'm sitting, it feels the same. She was quiet for a moment. What are you working on that has you so stressed? Maybe I can help. I don't need help, Mom. I need you to trust that I know what I'm doing. I'm trying. It's hard when you won't let me in. You didn't want in before. When I lost my job, when I was struggling, you made me feel like a failure. Now that I might be succeeding, suddenly you want details? That's not fair. Maybe not. But it's honest. She left without another word. I felt guilty but also relieved. The truth was out there now. Maybe it would help. Maybe it wouldn't. Either way, I couldn't worry about it tonight. Monday morning arrived gray and cold. I put on my royal blue suit again, the one that made me feel powerful. Jordan had texted earlier, "You're going to be amazing. Believe in yourself as much as I believe in you." I read it 3 times before heading to Tech Vista. The presentation room was packed. Patricia sat at the head of the table, flanked by the CEO, CFO, and several other executives I recognized from my research. 20 people in total, all waiting to hear what I'd found. I connected my laptop to the projector and pulled up my slides. Simple, clean, data-driven. Good afternoon. Thank you all for taking the time to hear my preliminary findings. I clicked to the first slide. Over the past 4 weeks, I've conducted 53 interviews, reviewed over 200 project files, and analyzed your operational data across all departments. What I found was a company with incredible potential being held back by a few key inefficiencies. For the next hour, I walked them through everything. The departments that were excelling. The ones that needed restructuring. The patterns I'd identified in workflow bottlenecks. And then I got to Vanessa's department. Project management team B shows consistent patterns of concern, I said, keeping my voice neutral. Project completion rates are good, but there are issues with team morale, credit attribution, and long-term sustainability of work quality. I showed them the data. Projects where credit had been misattributed. Team members who'd left the company citing poor management. Client complaints that had been buried rather than addressed. Additionally, there are questions about the accuracy of some performance reports. Several projects that were reported as successes had significant issues that weren't disclosed to leadership. The room was silent. Patricia's expression was unreadable, but the CEO was making notes. I want to be clear, I continued. These issues aren't unique to one person. They represent systemic problems in how this department operates. However, leadership plays a crucial role in setting the tone. After I finished, Patricia stood. Thank you, Ms. Brooks. This is exactly the kind of thorough analysis we needed. We'll review your findings and be in touch about next steps. As people filed out, Patricia pulled me aside. That took courage. Presenting findings that controversial in front of the entire executive team. I just presented the truth. I know, and I appreciate it. Some of what you found confirms suspicions we've had. We'll be making changes. I left the building feeling drained but satisfied. Whatever happened next, I'd done my job. Honestly, thoroughly, professionally. My phone rang as I reached my car. Trevor. You need to tell me right now if you had anything to do with what just happened to Vanessa. My stomach dropped. What happened? She just got called into her boss's office. Something about a consultant's report. She's freaking out, Simone. If you know anything. Trevor, I need to go. Simone. I hung up. My hands were shaking. It was happening faster than I'd expected. The report had barely been presented and already there were consequences. Good. That meant Patricia was taking this seriously. I drove to the grind, needing a safe place to process. Jordan took one look at my face and flipped the open sign to closed. What happened? I told him everything. The presentation, Trevor's call, the reality that everything was about to blow up. Do you regret it? He asked. No, not at all. I did the right thing. But I'm not naive. This is going to destroy my relationship with my family, at least temporarily. Then they need to work on being better family. It's not that simple. Isn't it? You did your job. You were professional and ethical. If they can't see that, that's on them, not you. He was right. But knowing he was right didn't make the coming storm any easier to face. My phone buzzed. A text from Patricia. Need to schedule a follow-up meeting. Are you available tomorrow at 10 a.m.? Yes, I replied. Tomorrow I'd find out exactly what TechVista planned to do with my findings. And then, whether I wanted to or not, I'd have to face my family. The truth was out there now. No more hiding. No more staying small. Time to see what came next. Tuesday morning, I arrived at TechVista at 9:45 a.m., giving myself 15 minutes to settle before my meeting with Patricia. The security guard who'd greeted me cheerfully for weeks looked at me with new interest. Big day, Ms. Brooks? Something like that. The elevator ride to the 15th floor felt different this time. Yesterday I'd been presenting findings. Today I'd be learning what those findings meant for the people I'd evaluated. Patricia's assistant met me at the elevator. She's ready for you. Conference room A again. I walked in to find not just Patricia, but the CEO, Thomas Rodriguez, and the head of HR, a woman named Angela Chen. Wait, I can't use Chen. Angela Park. No, I can't complicate this. Just use her first name. Angela from HR. Ms. Brooks, please sit. Thomas gestured to a chair. He was in his 50s, with gray temples and sharp eyes that missed nothing. We've spent considerable time reviewing your preliminary report. It's comprehensive, well-documented, and frankly, exactly what we needed. Thank you. We'd like to move forward with the full 6-week engagement as planned, Patricia added. But we wanted to discuss some immediate actions based on what you've already found. Angela opened a folder. Several members of project management team B have come forward since yesterday. Apparently, your interviews created a safe space for them to voice concerns they've been afraid to raise. We're looking at some serious accusations. What kind of accusations? I asked, though I suspected I knew. Credit theft. Hostile work environment. Falsified performance reports. Angela's expression was grim. We're conducting our own internal investigation, but your documentation has been invaluable. What happens to the manager? I kept my voice neutral, professional. That's complicated, Thomas said. Vanessa Sterling. Wait, I already said no Sterling. Let me fix this. Vanessa Harper, Thomas said. She's been with us for 2 years. Her performance reviews have been stellar, largely because she writes them herself and her supervisor rubber stamps them. But her team tells a different story. We're implementing immediate changes, Patricia said. She's being moved to a non-management role pending the investigation. We're also assigning a senior manager to oversee her department and repair the damage. I nodded, processing this. Vanessa was being demoted, not fired. Fair, given that they were still investigating. But she wouldn't see it that way. She'd see it as a catastrophic failure. And she'd blame me. There's one more thing, Angela said, pulling out another document. During our review, we discovered that Ms. Harper has a personal connection to you. Your brother is dating her. My stomach tightened. Yes. Did you disclose this conflict of interest when you took the assignment? I wasn't aware of the connection when I accepted. My brother started dating Ms. Harper after I'd already signed the contract. When I realized who she was, I considered withdrawing, but I decided the most ethical approach was to document everything thoroughly and let the evidence speak for itself. Thomas and Patricia exchanged glances. That was the right call, Thomas said finally. If anything, knowing about the connection and proceeding professionally shows integrity. But I want to be clear, this is going to get messy for you personally. I know. Are you prepared for that? I did the job I was hired to do. Whatever personal consequences come from that, I'll handle them. Patricia smiled slightly. You've got spine, Ms. Brooks. I respect that. Now, let's talk about the rest of your engagement. We spent the next hour discussing next steps. I'd continue my audit of other departments, complete my comprehensive report, and present final recommendations in 4 weeks. As I was leaving, Angela stopped me in the hallway. Off the record? I've been working in HR for 20 years. I can tell when someone is covering up bad behavior, and I can tell when someone is doing honest work in difficult circumstances. You did the latter. Don't let anyone make you doubt that. Thank you. I drove straight to the grind. Jordan was behind the counter helping a customer, but he caught my eye and nodded toward our usual table. When he brought my coffee over, he sat down without asking. How bad? Vanessa's being demoted pending investigation. The company knows about my connection to her. Everything's about to explode. But you're okay? I'm fine. Better than fine, actually. They want me to continue the full engagement. This could lead to more clients, Jordan. Real, substantial clients. He grinned. I knew you could do it. I haven't done anything yet. I still have 4 weeks of work ahead. You've already done the hard part. You told the truth when it would have been easier to stay quiet. My phone buzzed. Trevor. I ignored it. It buzzed again. Then again. You should probably answer that, Jordan said gently. I know. I picked up the phone. Hello. What did you do? Trevor's voice was tight with fury. Vanessa just got demoted. They're investigating her. She's devastated, Simone. And she said it's all because of some report. A report that I was hired to write, yes. Silence. Then, you're the consultant. Yes. You've been working at her company this whole time. You knew. You knew and you didn't tell me. I couldn't tell you. Client confidentiality. And frankly, Trevor, you never asked. You assumed I was job hunting and failing. You never once asked what I was actually doing. Because you're my sister. I shouldn't have to ask. You should have told me you were in a position to hurt my girlfriend. I wasn't in a position to hurt anyone. I was in a position to evaluate work quality. If Vanessa's work didn't hold up to scrutiny, that's not my fault. She says you targeted her. That you asked questions designed to make her look bad. I asked the same questions I asked everyone. The same questions any competent auditor would ask. If her answers made her look bad, that's on her. I can't believe you do this. Out of jealousy or spite or whatever your problem is with her. My problem with her? Trevor, she spent weeks mocking me at family dinners. Calling me lazy and unmotivated and a failure. She made it her personal mission to make sure everyone knew how much better she was than me. And you let her. You laughed along. Mom laughed along. Now that the truth about her work is coming out, suddenly I'm the bad guy. She was just being honest. You were unemployed. You were struggling. I was building a business. A successful business. But none of you cared enough to ask about it. You just assumed I was failing because that fit your narrative. Trevor's voice dropped. Mom wants to talk to you. She's really upset. Of course she is. Heaven forbid the golden girlfriend turns out to be less than perfect. Don't be like that. Like what? Honest? Isn't that what you all claim to value? Vanessa's brutal honesty about my failures? This is different. No, Trevor. This is exactly the same. The only difference is now the truth hurts someone you care about instead of me. I hung up before he could respond. My hands were shaking. Jordan reached across the table and took one of my hands in his. Breathe, he said quietly. You're okay. Am I? I just destroyed my relationship with my brother. You didn't destroy anything. You did your job. If he can't separate his personal feelings from professional reality, that's his issue to work through. My mom's going to kill me. Your mom is an adult who will have to accept that her children sometimes disagree. I laughed, but it came out bitter. You don't know my mother. Then introduce me. Let me tell her what an incredible person her daughter is. The offer hung between us, sweet and impossible. Jordan, you don't want to get involved in this mess. Maybe I do. Maybe I'm already involved. Before I could respond, my phone rang again. Mom. I answered, bracing myself. Hi, Mom. Simone Marie Brooks, what have you done? Her voice was cold, controlled fury. The voice she'd used when Trevor and I broke something expensive as kids. I just got off the phone with Trevor. He says you've been secretly working at Vanessa's company. That you wrote some report that got her demoted. I wrote an honest assessment of her department's work quality. That's my job. Your job? Your job is to support your family. To be loyal. Not to sabotage a girl your brother loves. I didn't sabotage anyone. I evaluated work performance. There's a difference. Don't play word games with me. You knew what you were doing. You knew this would hurt her. Actually, I knew this would reveal the truth about her work. If that hurts her, she should have done better work. How can you be so cold? This girl is part of our family now. She's been dating Trevor for 2 months, Mom. 2 months. And in that time, she's done nothing but make me feel small. You all let her. Because you needed to hear some hard truths. You were drifting, Simone. No direction, no ambition. I was building a career. A successful career. Making more money than I ever did at Patterson and Associates. But you were so busy being impressed by Vanessa's designer clothes and fake accomplishments that you never noticed. Fake accomplishments? She's a senior project manager. She was a senior project manager. And if my audit found problems, there were problems to find. That's not my fault. My mother's voice dropped to ice. You're choosing your jealousy over your family. I'm choosing honesty over maintaining a comfortable lie. If that makes me the villain in your eyes, I can live with that. Then maybe you should live somewhere else. If you can't support this family, maybe you shouldn't be part of it. The words hit like a physical blow. Are you kicking me out? I'm saying that actions have consequences. You've hurt someone we care about. That has consequences too. Fine. My voice was surprisingly steady. I'll be gone by tonight. I hung up before she could respond. Jordan was staring at me, concerned. She just kicked you out? Essentially. I laughed, but it was hollow. Well, okay. I need to figure out where I'm staying. You're staying with me. Jordan, I can't. You can and you will. I have a spare room above the shop. It's small, but it's clean and it's yours for as long as you need it. That's too much. We barely know each other. We know each other well enough. And friends help friends. Let me help you. I looked at him, this man who'd been nothing but kind for months, who'd encouraged me when everyone else doubted, who was now offering me a place to stay without hesitation. Okay, I said finally. Thank you. We finished our coffee in silence, both processing the magnitude of what had just happened. Then Jordan locked up the shop early and drove with me to my mother's house. The house was empty when we arrived. Mom had probably gone to Trevor's to comfort him and Vanessa. Fine by me. Made packing easier. I didn't have much. Clothes, laptop, some books, personal items. It all fit in my car in 2 trips. Jordan helped carry boxes, never asking questions, just being present. The hardest part was leaving a note. I sat at the kitchen table, pen hovering over paper, trying to figure out what to say. Finally, I wrote, Mom, I'm sorry my honesty was inconvenient for you. I'll always love you, but I won't apologize for doing my job with integrity. When you're ready to hear my side of the story, you know how to reach me. Love, Simone. I left it on the counter and walked out, locking the door behind me for the last time. Jordan's apartment above the grind was exactly as he described. Small but clean and comfortable. The spare room had a bed, a dresser, and a window overlooking the street. It smelled like coffee and cinnamon. It's perfect, I said. Thank you, Jordan. Really, You're welcome. And Simone? For what it's worth, I think you're incredibly brave. I don't feel brave. I feel like I just blew up my entire life. Sometimes those are the same thing. That night, lying in a strange bed in a strange room, I checked my phone one last time. 17 missed calls. 8 from Trevor, 6 from my mother, 3 from numbers I didn't recognize. Probably relatives who'd heard the news. There was also one email. From Patricia Morrison. Ms. Brooks, I heard through the grapevine about your personal situation. I want you to know that TechVista stands behind your work and your professionalism. If you need any support, please don't hesitate to reach out. Looking forward to continuing our engagement. Best, Patricia. I read it 3 times, then finally let myself cry. Not from sadness exactly, but from release. The secret was out. The truth was known. My family hated me. But I'd done the right thing. And somehow that was enough. From downstairs, I heard the soft sounds of Jordan closing up the shop. The smell of fresh coffee drifted up. In the morning, I'd figure out how to move forward. Tonight, I just needed to rest. Tomorrow was a new day. A new chapter. A new beginning. I woke Tuesday morning to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar windows and the rich smell of coffee brewing downstairs. For a moment, I forgot where I was. Then yesterday's events came rushing back. My family had chosen Vanessa over me. I was living above a coffee shop. My entire life had been upended in 24 hours. My phone showed 32 missed calls. I turned it on silent and got dressed. Jordan was already serving customers when I came downstairs. He spotted me and immediately started making my usual order. "How'd you sleep?" he asked when I reached the counter. "Better than I expected, actually. Thank you again for letting me stay." "Stop thanking me. You're doing me a favor. I've been trying to figure out what to do with that space for years." A customer called his attention away. I took my coffee to our usual table and opened my laptop. I had work to do. 4 more weeks at TechVista meant 4 more weeks of detailed analysis. I couldn't let personal drama derail my professional responsibilities. An email notification popped up. Patricia Morrison wanted to schedule another meeting. "Ms. Brooks, the internal investigation has progressed quickly. We'd like you to sit in on a few interviews with Team B members to provide context from your audit. Would you be available this afternoon?" I replied, confirming my availability, then dove into my notes from other departments. The marketing team had some inefficiencies I wanted to document. The sales department was showing promising trends. My phone buzzed. "Trevor." Against my better judgment, I answered. "Finally," he said. "I've been calling all night." I was sleeping. "At Mom's?" "Because I drove by and your car wasn't there." The surveillance felt invasive, but I kept my voice level. "I'm staying somewhere else." "Where?" "That's not your concern." "Of course it's my concern. You're my sister. Even if you did just ruin my girlfriend's career." "Trevor, I didn't ruin anything. I documented existing problems. If those problems had consequences for Vanessa, that's because her work created those consequences. Her team is lying about her. They're jealous of her success, so they're making things up. Multiple people independently told the same stories. That's not jealousy. That's a pattern. You wanted this. Admit it. You wanted to bring her down because she made you feel small. The accusation stung because there was a grain of truth to it. Yes, Vanessa had made me feel small. Yes, part of me had felt validated when my findings revealed her flaws. But that didn't make the findings false. What I wanted was to do my job, I said tiredly. That's all I've ever wanted. To do good work and be respected for it. Vanessa couldn't handle having someone examine her work honestly. That's not my fault. She's talking about suing you. For defamation or bias or something. Her lawyer says she has a case. Her lawyer is wrong. I have documentation for everything in my report. Every claim is backed by evidence. Let her sue. It'll just expose more of her behavior. Trevor was quiet for a moment. You've changed. You used to be sweet, caring. Now you're just cold. No, Trevor. I used to be quiet. There's a difference. I'm still the same person I've always been. You just never noticed because I wasn't causing problems for you. I can't deal with this right now. Vanessa needs me. He hung up. I set the phone down and stared at my laptop screen, vision blurring slightly. Jordan appeared with a fresh coffee. Want to talk about it? Not really. Want to distract me? Absolutely. So, I'm thinking about expanding the menu. Maybe adding sandwiches. What do you think? For the next hour, we talked about anything except my family. Menu options, business expansion, the book he was reading, the new show I'd started watching. Normal conversation. Easy conversation. The kind I hadn't had with my family in months. At 2 p.m. I headed to Tech Vista for my meeting. Patricia had gathered 5 members of Vanessa's team in a conference room. I recognized 3 of them from my initial interviews. "Thank you all for coming," Patricia began. "As you know, we're conducting an investigation into management practices in your department. Ms. Brooks is here to provide context from her audit. I want to emphasize that anything said in this room is confidential and protected. There will be no retaliation." For the next 3 hours, I listened to stories that made my blood boil. Vanessa had created a culture of fear in her team. People worked late not because projects required it, but because she'd imply they were lazy if they left on time. She'd take credit for their ideas in meetings, then blame them privately if anything went wrong. One woman, Rachel, described a project she'd developed from concept to completion. When it was finished and successful, Vanessa presented it to the CEO as her own idea. She didn't mention my name once. When I tried to bring it up, she told me I was being ungrateful. That I should be thanking her for giving me the opportunity to work on it. "Did you document this?" the HR representative asked. "I have all my original proposal emails, time-stamped, showing I developed the concept before Vanessa was even assigned to our team." Patricia made notes. "We'll need copies of those." Another team member, James, talked about the budget issues I'd uncovered. Vanessa would move money between project accounts to make her numbers look better. Then she'd tell us to make up the shortfall in our own budgets. When we couldn't, she'd report that our projects were over budget while hers were under. It made her look efficient and us look incompetent. "That's fraud," Angela from HR said flatly. "That's actual financial fraud." The meeting went on. Each story was worse than the last. By the end, even I was shocked. I'd found evidence of poor management and credit theft. But this was bigger. This was systematic manipulation and possibly illegal activity. After everyone else left, Patricia turned to me. "I owe you an apology." "For what?" "For not seeing this sooner. Vanessa's been here 2 years. 2 years of this behavior, and we missed it because her numbers looked good and she was charming in meetings. Don't blame yourself. People like Vanessa are good at hiding their true behavior. That's how they get away with it. Still, this is a leadership failure on our part." She sighed, rubbing her temples. "We're going to have to terminate her. Not just demote. This is cause for immediate termination." "What about her threat to sue?" "Let her try. We have documentation now. Not just your audit, but testimonies from multiple employees and evidence of financial irregularities. No lawyer will take that case." I drove back to Jordan's feeling drained. Vanessa was going to be fired. That should have felt like victory. Instead, it just felt sad. She'd thrown away a career because she couldn't be honest about her limitations. Trevor called again as I was parking. "I heard they're firing her. This is all your fault." "Trevor, I'm tired. I'm not doing this right now." "She's devastated. She's talking about leaving the city, starting over somewhere else. Maybe that's for the best. How can you be so heartless? Don't you care that you destroyed someone's life?" "I care that she destroyed her own life through her choices. I care that she manipulated her team and took credit for their work. I care that she committed what might be financial fraud. What I don't care about is protecting someone from the consequences of their own actions just because my brother is dating her. Was dating her. She broke up with me today. Said being with me means being connected to you and she can't handle that." Part of me felt guilty. Part of me felt relieved. Trevor deserved better than Vanessa, even if he couldn't see it yet. "I'm sorry," I said, meaning it. "I know you cared about her." "Cared." Past tense. "Because of you, I lost someone I loved." "No, Trevor. Because of her own behavior, you lost someone you thought you loved. There's a difference." He hung up. I sat in my car for a long moment, processing. Then I went inside. Jordan was just finishing closing up. "How was the meeting?" "Exhausting. Enlightening. Sad. Sad." I told him about the extent of Vanessa's behavior, about Trevor's call, about how everything was falling apart faster than I'd expected. "Do you regret it?" Jordan asked. "Any of it?" "No. But I wish I could have done it without hurting Trevor. Trevor hurt himself by choosing someone without seeing who she really was. That's not on you." We went upstairs. Jordan made dinner, simple pasta with vegetables, while I sat at his small kitchen table and tried not to think about my family. "Can I ask you something?" Jordan said as we ate. "Sure. What are you going to do after this project is done? Stay in consulting? Start your own firm?" "I haven't thought that far ahead." "Maybe you should. You're good at this, Simone. Really good. You could build something significant. Maybe. Right now I'm just trying to get through each day. Fair enough. But when you're ready to think bigger, let me know. I'd love to hear your plans. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying conversations, wondering if I could have handled things differently. Around 2 a.m. I gave up and went downstairs to the shop. The main room was dark, just emergency lighting along the baseboards. I sat at my usual table and opened my laptop, needing the familiar glow of the screen to feel grounded. An email notification popped up. From Vanessa. My stomach clenched. Against my better judgment, I opened it. Simone, I know you probably hate me, but I need to say something. You were right about me. About all of it. I took credit for other people's work because I was afraid I wasn't good enough on my own. I created that toxic environment because control made me feel powerful. I lied about my accomplishments because the truth felt insufficient. None of that excuses what I did. None of that makes it okay. But I wanted you to know that I see it now. I see what I became. You didn't destroy me. I destroyed myself. I'm leaving the city tomorrow. Starting over. Maybe I'll figure out how to be the person I pretended to be. Thank you for holding up the mirror even if I hated what I saw. I'm sorry for how I treated you. You deserved better. Vanessa. I read it 3 times. It felt genuine. Remorseful. But it didn't change anything. An apology didn't undo months of cruelty. It didn't repair my relationship with my family. It didn't make any of this easier. But maybe it was a start. For Vanessa anyway. I closed the laptop and sat in the darkness, listening to the city sounds outside. Somewhere out there, my mother and brother were probably talking about what a terrible person I was. How I'd ruined everything. And here I was, sitting in a dark coffee shop at 2 a.m., homeless and estranged, questioning every decision that had led to this moment. But I wasn't sorry. That was the thing. Despite everything, I wasn't sorry for telling the truth. Light footsteps on the stairs made me turn. Jordan appeared, wearing sweatpants and an old t-shirt, his hair messy from sleep. Thought I heard someone down here, he said. Sorry? Didn't mean to wake you. You didn't? I couldn't sleep either. He sat across from me. Want to tell me what's keeping you up? I showed him Vanessa's email. He read it carefully, then set the phone down. How do you feel about it? He asked. Honestly? I don't know. Part of me appreciates the apology. Part of me thinks it's too little, too late. Part of me is just tired of thinking about any of it. All of those things can be true at once. We sat in comfortable silence, the kind that doesn't need filling. Eventually, Jordan stood and moved to the counter. If we're both awake, might as well have coffee. It's 2 a.m. Which is exactly when we need coffee most. He made 2 cups, adding caramel drizzle to mine without asking. When he sat back down, his expression was thoughtful. Can I tell you something? He said. Always. When I bought this place, I thought success meant proving my family wrong. Showing them that I'd made the right choice. But eventually, I realized that success is just being able to look at yourself in the mirror and feel good about who you are. Everything else is noise. Is that your way of telling me I should feel good about all this? It's my way of saying that you already do. Feel good, I mean. About your choices. Your integrity. Despite all the pain it's causing, you know you did the right thing. That's worth more than your family's approval. Even if their disapproval means losing them entirely? Even then. Because people who only love you when you make them comfortable don't really love you. They love their idea of you. There's a difference. His words settled over me like a warm blanket. He was right. My family loved the version of me that stayed quiet, that didn't make waves, that made them look good by comparison. They didn't love the real me. The me who had integrity and ambition and refused to compromise her values. Thank you, I said quietly. For everything. The apartment, the support, the 2 a.m. coffee. All of it. You're welcome. And Simone? For what it's worth, I think the real you is pretty spectacular. Something in his tone made my heart skip. Or maybe it was the way he was looking at me, open and honest and warm. Jordan. I know. Bad timing. You're dealing with family drama and career stress and about a million other things. But I wanted you to know. You're important to me. More than just a customer or a friend. And whenever you're ready, if you're ever ready, I'd like to explore what that means. I stared at him, processing. Jordan liked me. Actually liked me. The realization was both terrifying and exhilarating. I don't have anything to offer right now, I said slowly. My life is a mess. I'm living in your spare room. My family hates me. I'm nowhere near ready for anything complicated. I know. And I'm not asking for complicated. I'm just asking you to keep the possibility in mind. For later. When things settle. Okay, I said. I can do that. We finished our coffee and went back upstairs. At my door, Jordan paused. Good night, Simone. Sleep well. You too. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, mind racing with new thoughts. Jordan liked me. I maybe liked him too, though I hadn't let myself think about it until now. My family hated me. Vanessa had apologized. My career was taking off. Everything was falling apart and coming together at the same time. Eventually, exhaustion won. I fell asleep to the sound of the city and the smell of coffee, feeling more at home than I had in months. Wednesday morning brought rain, the kind of steady downpour that made everything gray and soft-edged. I had the day off from Tech Vista, no meetings scheduled, no interviews to conduct. Just time to catch up on documentation and process the chaos of the past week. Jordan had already opened the shop by the time I came downstairs. He waved from behind the counter but was too busy with the morning rush to talk. I grabbed my laptop and settled into my usual corner, content to work in peaceful anonymity. An email from Patricia arrived at 9 a.m. Vanessa Harper's termination was finalized yesterday evening. Clean separation, she took the severance package. No legal action expected. Thank you for your professionalism throughout this process. So it was done. Vanessa was gone. I felt neither triumph nor guilt, just a quiet sense of closure. My phone buzzed. Trevor calling. I let it go to voicemail, then immediately felt guilty and listened to the message. Simone, Mom wants to have dinner. Sunday at her place. She says we need to talk. As a family. Please just come. For me, if nothing else. I deleted the message without responding. I wasn't ready to sit across a table from people who'd chosen Vanessa's manufactured success over my honest struggle. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Instead, I focused on work. I had 3 other departments to finish evaluating. Sales, marketing, and IT. Each one required detailed analysis, careful documentation, professional distance. Around noon, Jordan brought over a sandwich. You've been staring at that screen for 3 hours straight. Take a break. I'm almost done with this section. No, you're avoiding thinking about your family. There's a difference. He sat down across from me. Talk to me. I told him about Trevor's message, about the dinner invitation I had no intention of accepting. Why not go? Jordan asked. Hear what they have to say. Because I know what they'll say. That I should have handled things differently. That I should have protected Vanessa because she was dating Trevor. That I put my career above family loyalty. I don't need to sit through that. Maybe. Or maybe your mother has had time to think. To realize that you were just doing your job. You don't know my mother. She doesn't admit when she's wrong. She just doubles down and waits for everyone else to apologize. Then maybe this is your chance to break that pattern. To show up and stand your ground. I sighed, rubbing my temples. I'll think about it. Thursday passed in a blur of work. Friday, I presented my preliminary findings on the sales department to Patricia and the executive team. Their processes were mostly sound, just needed some minor adjustments. Friday evening, Trevor showed up at the grind. I was sitting at my table, laptop open, when he walked in. Jordan spotted him first, his expression turning protective. He moved toward my table, but I shook my head slightly. This was my brother. I needed to handle it. Trevor sat down without asking. He looked tired, dark circles under his eyes, his usual confident posture deflated. You're hard to track down, he said. I've been working. At a coffee shop. The owner is letting me stay in his spare room. It's convenient. Trevor glanced around, taking in the modest space. This is where you've been hiding. I'm not hiding. I'm living my life. Simone, we need to talk. About Sunday dinner. Mom really wants you there. Does she want to apologize? She wants to talk. As a family. That's not an answer to my question, Trevor. He shifted uncomfortably. She's hurt. You disappeared without warning. Wouldn't answer calls. She thought something happened to you. I left a note. Explaining exactly why I was leaving and how she could reach me. If she was worried, she could have called. She chose not to. Because she was angry. You can't blame her for being angry. I can when her anger is based on protecting someone who was lying to all of us. Trevor was quiet for a moment. Then, Vanessa told me the truth. Before she left. About everything. The credit theft, the falsified reports, all of it. I looked up from my laptop, surprised. She did. Yeah. Said she owed me honesty even if it was too late. Said you were right about her. He laughed bitterly. 2 months. I dated her for 2 months and convinced myself she was perfect. How stupid am I? You're not stupid. She was good at pretending. I should have listened to you. When you tried to warn me, indirectly at least. I should have paid attention. Trevor, I never tried to warn you. You two started dating after I'd already started the audit. By the time I realized who she was, it was too late to say anything without compromising my work. Still, I should have noticed the signs. The way she talked about her coworkers. The way she needed to be the center of attention at every dinner. The way she made you feel small. He met my eyes. I'm sorry for that. For not defending you. For laughing when she mocked you. The apology landed softly, unexpectedly. I hadn't realized how much I needed to hear it. Thank you, I said quietly. So will you come to dinner? Please? Mom needs to see that you're okay. I'm okay. Better than okay, actually. My work at TechVista is going incredibly well. I'm getting interest from other potential clients. I'm building something real here, Trevor. I can see that. And I'm proud of you. I should have said that weeks ago, but I'm saying it now. You're doing amazing things. I felt tears prick my eyes. That means a lot. So Sunday? 6 p.m.? I'll be there as a buffer if you need it. I hesitated, then nodded. Okay, I'll come. But I'm not apologizing for doing my job. I'm not asking you to. Just come. Let Mom see you. Let her say whatever she needs to say. Then you can decide what happens next. After Trevor left, Jordan came over. That looked intense. My brother apologized. Actually apologized for how he treated me. That's good, right? I think so. I'm still processing it. I closed my laptop. He invited me to dinner with my family Sunday. I said yes. Do you want moral support? I could come with you. Jordan, you don't have to. I want to. If you want me there. As a friend or as backup or as whatever you need. I thought about it. Showing up with Jordan would send a message. That I had support. That I wasn't alone. That I'd built a life beyond my family's approval. Okay, I said. If you're sure. I'm sure. Saturday, I shopped for something to wear to dinner. Something that said, successful professional without being showy. I settled on a maroon dress, simple but elegant, paired with low heels. Jordan whistled when I modeled it for him. You look incredible. Too much. Not even close. You look like someone who has her life together. I'm living in a room above a coffee shop. You're living in a room above a coffee shop while building a successful consulting business and maintaining your integrity against massive family pressure. There's a difference. Sunday arrived too quickly. I spent the morning anxious, second-guessing the decision to go. Jordan made me eat breakfast and reminded me I could leave anytime. You're not trapped there, he said. If it gets uncomfortable, we walk out. Simple as that. We arrived at my mother's house at exactly 6 p.m. Trevor's car was already in the driveway. Jordan squeezed my hand as we walked to the door. You've got this, he murmured. My mother answered on the first knock. She took in Jordan with surprise, then me, her expression unreadable. Simone. You came. I said I would. And you brought a guest. Mom, this is Jordan. Jordan, my mother, Patricia. They shook hands politely. My mother's eyes were assessing, measuring Jordan against some internal standard. Please come in. Trevor's in the living room. The house looked the same. Smelled the same. But everything felt different. I didn't belong here anymore. This wasn't home. It was just the place where I used to live. Trevor stood when we entered. He looked between me and Jordan, a small smile forming. Hey, Simone. Jordan, right? The coffee shop owner? That's me. We sat in the living room, the atmosphere tense. My mother disappeared into the kitchen, returning with wine glasses and a bottle of red. I thought we'd have drinks before dinner, she said, pouring for everyone except Jordan, who politely declined in favor of water. We made awkward small talk for 10 minutes. The weather. Traffic. Neutral topics that meant nothing. Finally, Trevor cleared his throat. Okay, this is ridiculous. Can we just talk about what happened? My mother set down her wine glass. Fine. Simone, I owe you an apology. I waited, not making it easy for her. I was wrong to kick you out. Wrong to assume you were sabotaging Vanessa out of jealousy. Trevor showed me her email. The one where she admitted to everything. And I spoke with Patricia Morrison at TechVista. I sat up straighter. You did what? I called the company. Explained I was your mother and I had concerns about how you'd handled the audit. I wanted to know if you'd acted unprofessionally. Mom? Let me finish. Patricia told me that you'd conducted one of the most thorough, ethical audits they'd ever seen. That your findings were meticulous and fair. That several employees specifically thanked you for creating a safe space to voice concerns. She said you were exactly the kind of consultant they wished they'd hired years ago. I blinked, processing. My mother had called my client. It was mortifying. And also validating. I didn't believe her at first, my mother continued. I thought she was just being polite. But then other people from Vanessa's team reached out to me. I don't know how they got my number, probably through Trevor. They wanted me to know that you'd help them. That you'd exposed behavior they'd been too afraid to report. Jordan's hand found mine under the table, squeezing gently. So I was wrong, my mother said, her voice thick. I chose the wrong person to believe. I hurt my daughter to protect a girl I barely knew. I'm sorry, Simone. Truly sorry. I felt tears building but refused to let them fall. Thank you for saying that. I also need to apologize for how I treated your career change. I was scared, not critical. Watching you take such a big risk when you could have played it safe, it terrified me. But I should have supported you. Should have believed in you. You're brilliant, and you're building something amazing, and I'm so proud of you. Now the tears came. I wiped at them quickly, embarrassed. Trevor spoke up. I'm sorry too, Simone. For everything. For not defending you, for dismissing your work, for choosing Vanessa over you. You're my little sister. I should have had your back. You're both forgiven, I said, voice shaky. But I need you to understand something. I'm not coming back here. I'm not moving back home. I have my own life now. My own space. And Jordan's been more supportive in the past weeks than you've been in months. I understand, my mother said. But maybe we could start over? Family dinners where we actually talk and listen to each other? Maybe. Eventually. But I need time. That's fair. Dinner was less awkward after that. My mother had made pot roast, my favorite. We talked about my consulting work, about the grind, about Trevor's job. Normal family conversation without the underlying tension. As we were leaving, my mother pulled me aside. I really am proud of you, sweetheart. And I'm sorry it took me so long to see what you were building. Thanks, Mom. She hugged me tightly. Bring Jordan next time. I'd like to get to know him better. In the car, Jordan was quiet until we were halfway home. Then, that went better than expected. My mother called my client to verify my work. Very embarrassing. Also very motherly in a weirdly protective way. I guess. I'm still processing all of it. Take your time. There's no rush to figure out how you feel about any of this. Back at the grind, we sat in his small living room, both exhausted from the emotional evening. Thank you for coming with me, I said. I wouldn't have had the courage to go alone. Yes, you would have. But I'm glad I could be there. He was sitting closer than usual, our shoulders almost touching. I was hyper-aware of every point of contact, every breath. Jordan. I know we said we'd wait. Until things settled. But things might never fully settle, and life is short, and I really want to kiss you right now. My heart raced. Then kiss me. He did. Slowly, carefully, like I was something precious. When we pulled apart, he was smiling. I've wanted to do that for months, he admitted. Me too. I just didn't know it until recently. So what do we do now? We take it slow. See where this goes. No pressure, no expectations. Just honesty and trust and coffee. I can work with that. We stayed up late talking not about my family or work but about us. Our hopes, our fears, our dreams for the future. It felt easy in a way nothing else had felt easy in months. When I finally went to bed, I felt lighter. My family had apologized. I had a promising career. And I had Jordan, whatever that meant, whatever it would become. For the first time in months, maybe years, I felt like everything was exactly where it needed to be. The week after family dinner passed in a strange haze of normal. I continued my work at Tech Vista, completing audits of the remaining departments. Patricia Morrison praised my thoroughness. The executive team asked if I'd be interested in additional projects. My business, officially named Brooks Consulting after I filed the paperwork on Wednesday, was getting inquiries. Word had spread about my work at Tech Vista. 3 companies had reached out asking for similar audits. And Jordan. There was Jordan. We hadn't officially defined what we were doing, but we were doing it. Coffee in the mornings turned into dinner in the evenings. Working separately in the shop turned into working side by side. It was comfortable and exciting at the same time. Thursday afternoon, I was in my office at Tech Vista when Patricia knocked. Do you have a minute? She asked. Of course. She closed the door and sat across from me, her expression serious. I wanted to give you a heads up. Vanessa Harper has filed a formal complaint with the state licensing board. My stomach dropped. A complaint about what? She's claiming you conducted a biased audit because of your personal relationship with her through your brother. She's alleging that you deliberately misrepresented her work quality to damage her career. I felt cold. But that's not true. Everything in my report is documented. I know. We know. The licensing board will see that too. But I wanted to warn you that you'll likely receive an official inquiry. You'll need to submit your documentation and possibly testify. Will this affect my ability to get clients? Possibly until it's resolved. Some companies might be hesitant to hire a consultant under investigation, even if the claims are baseless. After Patricia left, I sat at my desk trying not to panic. This could destroy everything I'd built. Even if I was cleared, the stain of an investigation might follow me. I called Theo immediately. I heard, he said before I could speak. Patricia called me this morning as a courtesy. She wanted me to know before any official notifications went out. What do I do? You document everything. Every interview, every data point, every decision. You show the licensing board that your work was beyond reproach. And you don't engage with Vanessa directly. No emails, no calls, no contact of any kind. Will this hurt Apex Consulting? Theo was quiet for a moment. It might. But not because I doubt you. Just because some clients are risk-averse. We'll deal with it. I hung up feeling sick. All of this because I'd told the truth. Because I'd done my job with integrity. I texted Jordan, "Can we talk tonight?" Something happened. His response was immediate, "I'll close early. Come home whenever you're ready." Home. He'd called the grind home. The word settled warmly in my chest despite the anxiety. I worked for another 3 hours, compiling every piece of documentation from my TechVista audit. Every email, every interview transcript, every data spreadsheet. By the time I left, I had a file so comprehensive that no one could question my methodology. Jordan was waiting when I got back. He'd made dinner, nothing fancy, just pasta and salad, but it was exactly what I needed. I told him about Vanessa's complaint. He listened without interrupting, his expression growing darker. "She's trying to ruin you," he said finally. "Because you exposed her. She's trying to protect herself. If she can make my audit look biased, it undermines all the findings. But you have documentation. Proof." "I do. But investigations take time. And while they're investigating, my reputation is in question. New clients might not want to hire someone under scrutiny." Jordan reached across the table and took my hand. "Then we'll get through it. Together. Your work speaks for itself, Simone. Anyone who actually looks at what you did will see that. What if they don't? What if the licensing board decides there's enough appearance of conflict to sanction me? Then we appeal. And we fight. But we cross that bridge when we come to it. Right now, you focus on responding to their inquiry thoroughly and honestly. Over the next 2 weeks, that's exactly what I did. The official inquiry arrived, asking for detailed documentation of my audit methodology, my findings, and any potential conflicts of interest. I spent hours crafting my response. I explained that I'd accepted the TechVista contract before knowing about Vanessa's connection to my family. I documented that I'd continued working on the project because withdrawing would have been more ethically questionable than proceeding with extra care. I included testimonies from Vanessa's team members. Financial records showing the budget irregularities. Project files showing the credit misattribution. Everything was numbered, cross-referenced, organized. Patricia Morrison provided a letter of support. So did several TechVista employees. Even Angela from HR wrote a statement about the thoroughness of my work. I submitted everything 3 days before the deadline, then waited. Meanwhile, Trevor called with concerning news. "Vanessa's been calling me," he said, "trying to get me to support her complaint against you." "What did you tell her?" "The truth. That she lied to me about her work quality. That I broke up with her before any of this licensing board stuff started. That I support your professionalism entirely." "Thank you." "She's not taking it well. She sent me about 50 texts yesterday claiming you've turned me against her. That you poisoned the family. That you're ruining her life out of spite. Trevor, you need to block her number. This could get worse before it gets better." "Already done. I just wanted you to know she's spiraling." After we hung up, I felt a pang of sympathy for Vanessa. She'd built her entire identity on a false image of success. Now that image had shattered, she had nothing left but blame and anger. But sympathy didn't mean I'd back down. I'd done nothing wrong. I wouldn't pretend otherwise just to make her feel better. 3 weeks after submitting my response to the licensing board, I received their decision. Jordan was with me when I opened the email. My hands shook as I read it aloud. After thorough review of the complaint filed by Ms. Vanessa Harper and comprehensive examination of the documentation provided by Ms. Simone Brooks, the board has determined that no violation of professional ethics occurred. Ms. Brooks conducted her audit with appropriate methodology, maintained proper documentation, and demonstrated no evidence of bias in her findings. The board notes that Ms. Brooks disclosed the familial connection when it became relevant and chose to proceed with enhanced documentation protocols rather than withdraw from the engagement, which was an ethically sound decision. This complaint is dismissed with prejudice. No further action required. I finished reading and looked up at Jordan, tears streaming down my face. "You won," he said, grinning. "Simone, you won. I didn't win anything. I just didn't lose everything. No, you won. You stood up for truth and integrity, and the people who matter recognized that. This is a victory." He pulled me into a hug and I let myself cry with relief. The past month had been terrifying, wondering if I'd lose my career before it really started. But I'd survived. More than survived. I forwarded the decision to Patricia Morrison, who responded within minutes. "Congratulations. Never doubted you for a second. We have another project we'd like to discuss. Available for lunch tomorrow?" I also sent it to Theo, who replied, "Told you. Now let's get back to business. I have 3 potential clients for you." My mother called that evening. "Trevor told me about the licensing board decision. I'm so relieved, sweetheart. And so proud of how you handled all of this." "Thanks, Mom. Are you doing okay? Really okay?" I looked around Jordan's apartment. My laptop open on the table. Coffee cups from earlier. Jordan in the kitchen making his experimental dessert, singing off-key to the radio. "Yeah, Mom. I really am." The next few weeks felt like everything clicking into place. My final report to TechVista was delivered and well received. Patricia offered me a retainer agreement to consult on future projects. The 3 clients Theo mentioned all hired me for audits. My calendar filled up. I hired a part-time assistant to help with scheduling and documentation. Jordan and I fell into an easy rhythm. We didn't talk about labels or define what we were. We just were. Together. Building something real and honest. One Saturday morning, 3 months after the whole ordeal started, I was having coffee with Jordan when my phone rang. Unknown number. "Is this Simone Brooks?" A woman's voice, professional but warm. "Yes. My name is Jennifer Wu. I'm a partner at Prescott & Associates, a major consulting firm. We've been following your work. We'd like to talk to you about joining our team as a senior consultant." I nearly dropped the phone. Prescott & Associates was one of the biggest names in business consulting. Getting hired there was like winning the lottery. "I'm interested in hearing more," I managed. "Excellent. Are you available for lunch next Tuesday?" After we hung up, I stared at Jordan in shock. "Prescott & Associates wants to hire me." "Of course they do. You're brilliant." "Jordan, this is huge. This is career-making." "So what are you going to do?" "I don't know. I just started building my own practice. I have clients, momentum. But Prescott could offer stability, prestige, resources I don't have on my own." "Then go to lunch. Hear what they have to say. You don't have to decide anything right now." Tuesday's lunch was at an expensive downtown restaurant. Jennifer Wu was in her 50s, sharp-eyed and confident. She laid out an impressive offer. Senior consultant position, 6-figure salary, benefits, the opportunity to work on Fortune 500 clients. "Why me?" I asked. "I've been consulting independently for less than 6 months." Jordan reached across the table and took my hand. "Then we'll get through it. Together. Your work speaks for itself, Simone. Anyone who actually looks at what you did will see that. What if they don't? What if the licensing board decides there's enough appearance of conflict to sanction me? Then we appeal. And we fight. But we cross that bridge when we come to it. Right now, you focus on responding to their inquiry thoroughly and honestly." Over the next 2 weeks, that's exactly what I did. The official inquiry arrived, asking for detailed documentation of my audit methodology, my findings, and any potential conflicts of interest. I spent hours crafting my response. I explained that I'd accepted the TechVista contract before knowing about Vanessa's connection to my family. I documented that I'd continued working on the project because withdrawing would have been more ethically questionable than proceeding with extra care. I included testimonies from Vanessa's team members. Financial records showing the budget irregularities. Project files showing the credit misattribution. Everything was numbered, cross-referenced, organized. Patricia Morrison provided a letter of support. So did several TechVista employees. Even Angela from HR wrote a statement about the thoroughness of my work. I submitted everything 3 days before the deadline, then waited. Meanwhile, Trevor called with concerning news. "Vanessa's been calling me," he said, "trying to get me to support her complaint against you." What did you tell her? The truth. That she lied to me about her work quality. That I broke up with her before any of this licensing board stuff started. That I support your professionalism entirely. Thank you. She's not taking it well. She sent me about 50 texts yesterday claiming you've turned me against her. That you poisoned the family. That you're ruining her life out of spite. Trevor, you need to block her number. This could get worse before it gets better. Already done. I just wanted you to know she's spiraling. After we hung up, I felt a pang of sympathy for Vanessa. She'd built her entire identity on a false image of success. Now that image had shattered, she had nothing left but blame and anger. But sympathy didn't mean I'd back down. I'd done nothing wrong. I wouldn't pretend otherwise just to make her feel better. 3 weeks after submitting my response to the licensing board, I received their decision. Jordan was with me when I opened the email. My hands shook as I read it aloud. After thorough review of the complaint filed by Ms. Vanessa Harper and comprehensive examination of the documentation provided by Ms. Simone Brooks, the board has determined that no violation of professional ethics occurred. Ms. Brooks conducted her audit with appropriate methodology, maintained proper documentation, and demonstrated no evidence of bias in her findings. The board notes that Ms. Brooks disclosed the familial connection when it became relevant and chose to proceed with enhanced documentation protocols rather than withdraw from the engagement, which was an ethically sound decision. This complaint is dismissed with prejudice. No further action required. I finished reading and looked up at Jordan, tears streaming down my face. You won, he said, grinning. Simone, you won. I didn't win anything. I just didn't lose everything. No, you won. You stood up for truth and integrity, and the people who matter recognized that. This is a victory. He pulled me into a hug and I let myself cry with relief. The past month had been terrifying, wondering if I'd lose my career before it really started. But I'd survived. More than survived. I forwarded the decision to Patricia Morrison, who responded within minutes. Congratulations. Never doubted you for a second. We have another project we'd like to discuss. Available for lunch tomorrow? I also sent it to Theo, who replied, Told you. Now let's get back to business. I have 3 potential clients for you. My mother called that evening. Trevor told me about the licensing board decision. I'm so relieved, sweetheart. And so proud of how you handled all of this. Thanks, Mom. Are you doing okay? Really okay? I looked around Jordan's apartment. My laptop open on the table. Coffee cups from earlier. Jordan in the kitchen making his experimental dessert, singing off-key to the radio. Yeah, Mom? I really am. The next few weeks felt like everything clicking into place. My final report to TechVista was delivered and well received. Patricia offered me a retainer agreement to consult on future projects. The 3 clients Theo mentioned all hired me for audits. My calendar filled up. I hired a part-time assistant to help with scheduling and documentation. Jordan and I fell into an easy rhythm. We didn't talk about labels or define what we were. We just were. Together. Building something real and honest. One Saturday morning, 3 months after the whole ordeal started, I was having coffee with Jordan when my phone rang. Unknown number. Is this Simone Brooks? A woman's voice, professional but warm. Yes. My name is Jennifer Wu. I'm a partner at Prescott & Associates, a major consulting firm. We've been following your work. We'd like to talk to you about joining our team as a senior consultant. I nearly dropped the phone. Prescott & Associates was one of the biggest names in business consulting. Getting hired there was like winning the lottery. I'm interested in hearing more, I managed. Excellent. Are you available for lunch next Tuesday? After we hung up, I stared at Jordan in shock. Prescott & Associates wants to hire me. Of course they do. You're brilliant. Jordan, this is huge. This is career-making. So what are you going to do? I don't know. I just started building my own practice. I have clients, momentum. But Prescott could offer stability, prestige, resources I don't have on my own. Then go to lunch. Hear what they have to say. You don't have to decide anything right now. Tuesday's lunch was at an expensive downtown restaurant. Jennifer Wu was in her 50s, sharp-eyed and confident. She laid out an impressive offer. Senior consultant position, 6-figure salary, benefits, the opportunity to work on Fortune 500 clients. Why me? I asked. I've been consulting independently for less than 6 months. Because in those 6 months, you've done what most consultants take years to accomplish. Your TechVista audit was masterful. Your handling of the ethics complaint showed integrity under pressure. You're exactly the kind of consultant we want representing our firm. It was everything I should want. Security. Prestige. Validation. But something felt off. I thanked Jennifer, told her I'd consider the offer, and left feeling uncertain. Jordan was at the grind when I got back. I told him about the offer. That's incredible, Simone. Are you going to take it? I don't know. It's a great opportunity, but it means giving up my independence. Working on projects I might not choose. Representing clients I might not believe in. Those are valid concerns. When I started consulting, it was about more than just having a job. It was about building something that reflected my values. About choosing who I work with and how I work. Taking this job means giving up that control. Then don't take it. But what if I'm being stupid? What if I'm turning down security for some idealistic notion of independence? Jordan came around the counter and sat beside me. Can I tell you what I see? I see someone who's built a successful practice in 6 months. Who has more clients than she can handle. Who's respected and sought after. You don't need Prescott and Associates. They need people like you. You're biased. Absolutely. But I'm also right. I thought about it for 3 days. I made lists of pros and cons. I talked to Theo, who supported whatever I decided. I talked to my mother, who surprisingly told me to trust my instincts. Finally, I called Jennifer Wu. Thank you for the generous offer, I said. But I've decided to continue building my own practice. I appreciate the confidence you've shown in my work. I respect that decision, Jennifer replied. But the offer stands if you change your mind. And I hope we can work together in the future, even if it's as independent partners rather than colleagues. I'd like that. After I hung up, I felt lighter. I'd chosen myself. My independence. My values. It felt right in a way nothing else had. Jordan celebrated by making his best coffee creation yet, which he named the Brooks Special, and added to the menu. It's your signature drink, he explained. Bold, sophisticated, with just a hint of sweetness. You're ridiculous. You love it. I did. I loved all of it. The career I was building. The relationship that had grown from friendship into something deeper. The life I'd created on my own terms. That evening, sitting in the coffee shop after closing, Jordan brought up something we'd been dancing around. So, I've been thinking, he said. This apartment situation. You living upstairs. It's been temporary for months now. Maybe we should make it official. Official how? Move in together. For real. Not as a landlord and tenant thing but as partners. If you want that. I looked at him, this man who'd supported me through everything. Who'd offered shelter when I had nowhere to go. Who'd believed in me when my own family didn't. I want that, I said. But only if you let me pay actual rent. Equal partners means equal contribution. Deal. Though I'm keeping the coffee shop downstairs. That's non-negotiable. I wouldn't have it any other way. We toasted with cold coffee and made plans for turning the spare room into a proper shared space. It felt like everything had come full circle. From losing everything to building something better. From family rejection to chosen family. From unemployed and struggling to successful and stable. Life wasn't perfect. I still had moments of doubt. My relationship with my mother and Trevor was healing but not healed. Vanessa's complaint had left scars. But I was happy. Genuinely happy. And that was worth more than any validation from people who doubted me. 6 months had passed since that disastrous family dinner where Vanessa had humiliated me. Now it was spring and everything was different. Brooks Consulting occupied a small office in a renovated building downtown. 2 rooms, a waiting area, and a view of the city skyline. My assistant, Nicole, handled scheduling and initial client contacts. I handled the actual consulting work. We had 12 active clients and a waiting list. I'd hired 2 junior consultants to help with the workload. The business that had started from desperation and a laptop in a coffee shop had become real. Jordan and I had settled into living together with surprising ease. We had our routines. Morning coffee together before he opened the shop. Evening meals where we talked about our days. Weekends exploring the city or staying in and doing nothing. We hadn't talked about marriage or long-term future plans. We were just living day by day, building something solid and real. My relationship with my family was better but cautious. I had dinner at my mother's house once a month. Trevor and I talked weekly. We were rebuilding trust slowly. Vanessa had left the city as she'd said she would. Last I heard, she was working in retail management in another state, using her experience as a former senior project manager in tech to land the job. I hoped she'd learned something. Hoped she was being honest this time. Thursday morning, I was reviewing a new client proposal when Nicole knocked on my door. Someone here to see you. She doesn't have an appointment, but she says it's urgent. Who is it? Rachel Morrison. Says she used to work at Tech Vista. I remembered Rachel. She'd been one of the team members who testified about Vanessa's behavior. Send her in. Rachel looked different from the last time I'd seen her. More confident, less beaten down. She wore a green blazer over a simple white shirt, her curly hair pulled back in a professional style. Ms. Brooks, thank you for seeing me without notice. Of course. What can I do for you? I wanted to thank you first. For what you did at Tech Vista. My team is completely different now. New management, better processes. People actually feel valued. I'm glad to hear it. But I'm also here because I need your help. I left Tech Vista 3 weeks ago. Took a position as director of operations at a smaller company. And now I'm realizing they have some of the same problems. Not as extreme but similar patterns. Poor communication, unclear processes, people taking credit for others' work. And you want me to conduct an audit? I want you to help me fix it before it gets as bad as it was at Tech Vista. I have authority now. I can make changes. But I need someone who understands these patterns to guide me. We spent an hour discussing her company, the problems she'd identified, the solutions she thought might work. By the end, I had a proposal forming. I can do this, I said. But I want to try something different. Instead of a traditional audit where I come in as an outsider, I'd work with you as a collaborative partner. We'd identify issues together, develop solutions together, implement changes together. Like a consultant-trainer hybrid? Exactly. You learn the process so you can maintain it after I'm gone. Rachel's face lit up. That's perfect. When can we start? We signed the contract that afternoon. It was my first attempt at this new consulting model and I was excited to see if it worked. That evening, Jordan and I celebrated over dinner at a new restaurant. A new consulting model, he said, raising his glass. You're innovating. Or I'm overthinking. Could go either way. You're brilliant. It'll work. You have to say that. You're dating me. I'd say it even if I wasn't. You're objectively good at what you do, Simone. When are you going to accept that? Probably never. Imposter syndrome is real. He laughed. Fair enough. So, speaking of new things, I've been thinking about expanding the grind. Expanding how? Opening a second location. Or maybe turning this one into a bigger space with a full kitchen. I could do breakfast and lunch, not just coffee and pastries. That's ambitious. I learned from the best. He smiled. You took a risk and built something amazing. Maybe it's my turn to think bigger. I think you should do it. You're an incredible businessman. And your food is better than you give yourself credit for. We talked about his expansion plans, my new consulting model, the life we were building together. It felt easy. Natural. Like we'd been doing this for years instead of months. Friday afternoon, my mother called. Simone, I have a favor to ask. I braced myself. What kind of favor? Trevor is having a rough time. The breakup with Vanessa hit him harder than he admits. He's been withdrawn, not himself. I think he needs to talk to someone who understands what happened. Mom, I'm not a therapist. I know. But you're his sister. And you saw through Vanessa when the rest of us didn't. Maybe you can help him process why he didn't see it. That's a complicated conversation. I know. But he needs you. Will you at least try? I agreed to meet Trevor for coffee. Not at the Grind, that was my space. A neutral location downtown. He showed up looking tired, wearing jeans and a faded blue shirt instead of his usual business casual. Thanks for meeting me, he said, sitting across from me. Mom said you were struggling. She's being dramatic. I'm fine. Trevor. He sighed. Okay, I'm not fine. I keep thinking about Vanessa. About how I missed every red flag. About how I chose her over you. You didn't know. I should have known. You're my sister. I've known you my whole life. I should have trusted your judgment over some girl I dated for 2 months. People in new relationships don't think clearly. It's not personal. It felt personal when I watched you leave Mom's house with your stuff. When I realized I'd pushed you away for someone who was lying to everyone. I reached across the table and took his hand. Trevor, I forgive you. I forgave you months ago. But you need to forgive yourself. You made a mistake. You've apologized. You've supported me since. That's what matters. How did you get so wise? I went through hell and came out the other side. It tends to give perspective. We talked for 2 hours. About Vanessa, about his own insecurities that made him susceptible to her manipulation, about how to rebuild trust in relationships. For what it's worth, I said as we were leaving, I think you'll be fine. You learned something important. Next time you'll see the red flags. There's going to be a next time? Of course. You deserve someone genuine. Someone kind. Someone who builds you up instead of making you feel like you need them to be complete. When did you become such a relationship expert? I thought about Jordan. About how he'd supported me without trying to control me. How he celebrated my successes without feeling threatened. How we built something based on mutual respect and honesty. Recently, I said. Very recently. 2 weeks later, I was working late at my office when Jordan called. Can you come home? I need to show you something. Is everything okay? Everything's perfect. Just come home. I drove back to the grind curious and slightly worried. Jordan had sounded excited but also nervous. The shop was closed, lights dimmed. Jordan was waiting upstairs. Okay, you're scaring me. What's going on? Close your eyes. Jordan. Please. Trust me. I closed my eyes. He took my hand and led me through the apartment. I heard a door open, then his voice close to my ear. Okay. Open them. I opened my eyes to find myself in what used to be the spare room. Only now it wasn't spare. It was a fully furnished office. A large desk, comfortable chair, bookshelves, filing cabinets. Everything I needed to work from home. What is this? I've been watching you commute downtown every day, spending money on office space when you could work from here. And I thought, what if we converted this room? You could still meet clients at your office when needed, but you'd have a home base. A real workspace. I walked around the room, touching the desk, the shelves. Jordan, this is too much. It's not. You've been paying rent, contributing equally to everything. This is just making our space work for both of us. I have the coffee shop downstairs. You should have an office upstairs. I turned to face him, tears building. This is the kindest thing anyone's ever done for me. You deserve kindness. You deserve support. You deserve someone who wants to see you succeed. He pulled me close. I love you, Simone. I've loved you for months. I just wasn't sure when to say it. I love you too. The words came easily, naturally. I think I have for a while now. We stood there, holding each other in my new office, and I felt something settle in my chest. This was home. Not the room, not the building, but this feeling. Being loved for who I actually was, not who someone wanted me to be. The following month brought more changes. I officially closed my downtown office, moving all operations to my home office. The money I saved went into hiring a third consultant and upgrading equipment. Jordan signed a lease on a second location for the grind. A bigger space across town with room for a full kitchen and dining area. He hired 2 additional staff members and started planning an expanded menu. My mother hosted another family dinner. This time the atmosphere was completely different. She asked about my business with genuine interest. Trevor shared his own good news. He'd been promoted at work and was dating someone new, a teacher he'd met through friends. She's really nice, he said. Quiet. Kind. Nothing like... He stopped himself. Nothing like Vanessa? I finished. That's probably a good thing. Definitely a good thing. Her name is Beth. I'd like you to meet her. If you're willing. I'd love to. After dinner, my mother pulled me aside. I see the way Jordan looks at you, she said. Like you're the best thing that ever happened to him. He's pretty great. He is. And you're happy. Really happy. That's all I ever wanted for you, sweetheart. I just lost sight of it for a while. We all lost sight of things. But we found our way back. Are you going to marry him? Mom? I'm just asking. A mother's curiosity. When and if that happens, you'll be the first to know. After Jordan, obviously. She laughed. Fair enough. Spring turned to summer. Brooks Consulting continued growing. I developed my collaborative consulting model with Rachel's company, and it worked so well that other clients started requesting the same approach. I wrote an article about ethical auditing and conflict of interest for a business journal. It got picked up by a few industry websites. Suddenly I was getting speaking requests for conferences and professional development workshops. Jordan's second location of the grind opened to great reviews. The expanded menu was a hit. He was talking about potentially opening a third location. We fell into an easy rhythm of success. Not the flashy kind that Vanessa had chased, but the real kind. Built on honest work, genuine relationships, slow and steady growth. One Saturday evening we were walking through the city after dinner when Jordan stopped at a small park. Let's sit for a minute, he suggested. We sat on a bench overlooking the river. The sunset painted everything gold and pink. Can I tell you something? Jordan said. Always. A year ago I was worried about the coffee shop. Worried I'd made a mistake buying it. Worried I'd never find someone to share my life with. Then you walked in one random Tuesday morning and everything changed. Jordan. I'm not finished. You changed my life, Simone. Not just by being with me but by showing me what courage looks like. What integrity looks like. What it means to bet on yourself even when everyone doubts you. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. My breath caught. I'm not asking anything right now, he said quickly. I just wanted you to know that I'm all in. Completely, totally all in. Whenever you're ready, if you're ever ready, I'll be here. Because you're it for me. You're everything. He opened the box. Inside was a simple ring, elegant and understated. Perfect. Jordan Brooks, I said, testing out how the name sounded. Has a nice ring to it. He laughed. So that's a maybe? That's a probably. Eventually. When the time is right. I can work with probably. We sat there as the sun set, talking about possible futures and certain presents, about the life we were building and the life we'd built already. 6 months ago, I'd been unemployed, living with my mother, mocked by my family, convinced I was failing at everything. Now I was successful, in love, respected, building a business and a life that reflected my values. The journey hadn't been easy. It had hurt. I'd lost things, people, pieces of myself that I'd thought were essential. But I'd gained so much more. Confidence. Independence. Love that was real and honest. A career that mattered. Family relationships that were healing. A future that looked bright. As Jordan and I walked home that evening, hand in hand, I realized something important. I didn't need revenge. I didn't need Vanessa to fail for me to succeed. I didn't need my family's approval to know my worth. I just needed to keep being myself. Keep doing good work. Keep loving honestly. Keep building the life I wanted instead of the life others expected. Everything else would follow. 8 months had passed since that first humiliating family dinner. Now, on a crisp October evening, I stood in a hotel ballroom accepting an award. The Business Innovation Council had named me Young Entrepreneur of the Year for my collaborative consulting model. The room was full of business leaders, consultants, clients. People who respected my work, who saw my value. When I started BRZ for less than I deserved. I looked out at the audience. Jordan sat in the front row, wearing a suit for the occasion, his proud smile warming me from across the room. My mother and Trevor sat beside him, both dressed up, both beaming. But something inside me said to keep going. To build something based on honesty and integrity, even when dishonesty seemed easier. To trust my instincts even when everyone else questioned them. Tonight, I'm grateful I listened to that voice. The applause was genuine, sustained. I'd prepared more to say, but emotion caught in my throat. These people, this recognition, this moment, it validated everything I'd fought for. After the ceremony, people lined up to talk to me. Business cards exchanged. Consulting requests discussed. Networking that would have terrified me a year ago but now felt natural. Patricia Morrison from TechVista found me during the reception. Congratulations, Ms. Brooks. Well deserved. Thank you. And thank you for the recommendation letter. I know the council considered it heavily. I only wrote the truth. Your work transformed our company. We're more efficient, more ethical, more employee-focused. That's all because you had the courage to be honest. Rachel appeared next, no longer working for the company I'd helped her with. She'd been recruited to a director position at a Fortune 500 company, specifically because of the changes we'd implemented together. You changed my career, she said, hugging me. I went from being demoralized and overlooked to leading a department of 50 people. Thank you. You did the work, Rachel. I just helped you see what was possible. More people cycled through. Clients. Former colleagues. People who'd followed my journey online. By the time the reception ended, my face hurt from smiling and my voice was hoarse from talking. Jordan drove us home, my mother and Trevor following in their own car. They'd asked if they could see my office, my space, see where the magic happened, as my mother put it. The apartment was exactly as we'd left it that morning. My office door stood open, showing the organized workspace Jordan had created for me months earlier. The living room was comfortable, lived in, full of both our belongings mixed together. It's lovely, my mother said, looking around. You've built a real home here. We have, I agreed, catching Jordan's eye. Trevor wandered over to look at the awards and certificates I'd been accumulating. The Business Innovation Council Award would join them tomorrow. I'm proud of you, sis, he said quietly. Really proud. And I'm sorry it took me so long to see what you were building. You're here now. That's what matters. My mother made coffee, navigating Jordan's commercial-grade equipment with his patient guidance. We sat around the living room, drinking coffee and eating the celebration cake Jordan had made that morning. Can I make a toast? Trevor asked, raising his coffee mug. We all lifted our mugs. To Simone. who taught us all what integrity looks like, who showed us that success isn't about appearances, it's about doing good work and staying true to yourself, who forgave us when we didn't deserve forgiveness. I'm lucky to call you my sister. Hear, hear, my mother added. And to Jordan, who saw what we were too blind to see. Thank you for taking care of my daughter. She takes care of herself, Jordan corrected gently. I just provide coffee and moral support. We talked late into the evening. My mother told stories from my childhood, the ones that showed determination and stubbornness even then. Trevor shared that he was serious about Beth, the teacher he'd been dating, and was planning to introduce her to the family at Thanksgiving. Around 11 p.m., my mother and Trevor prepared to leave. Same time next month for dinner? My mother asked at the door. Absolutely. And Mom? Thank you. For coming tonight. For supporting me. For being here. I should have been here all along. But I'm grateful you gave me a second chance to do better. After they left, Jordan and I cleaned up in comfortable silence. When everything was put away, we sat on the couch, my head on his shoulder. Big day, he said. Huge day. Surreal day. How does it feel? Being recognized like that? Validating. Terrifying. Wonderful. All of it at once. You know what I love about you? Jordan said. You could have made tonight about getting revenge. About showing everyone who doubted you that they were wrong. But instead you made it about the work. About integrity. About building something meaningful. Because that's what actually matters. Vanessa spent her career trying to prove she was better than everyone else. Look where it got her. I just want to do good work and help people. If awards and recognition come from that, great. But they're not the goal. Speaking of Vanessa, Jordan said carefully, I heard something at the shop yesterday. One of my customers works in retail management. She mentioned a new manager at a store across town who's struggling with ethics complaints. Sounded familiar, so I asked around. It's Vanessa. I felt a pang of sadness. She's still doing the same things. Apparently. Taking credit for staff ideas, manipulating schedules, creating a toxic environment. Some things don't change. I feel bad for her. To be that insecure, to need that constant validation, it must be exhausting. You're remarkably compassionate for someone she tried to destroy. She didn't try to destroy me. She tried to destroy the truth. There's a difference. And honestly, she probably doesn't even understand why she does it. That's the sad part. We sat in silence for a while, processing. Then Jordan shifted beside me. So, remember that ring? He asked. My heart skipped. Yes. I was thinking maybe we should revisit that conversation. You know, since you're now an award-winning entrepreneur with a stable business and a bright future. Jordan. Let me finish. I'm not asking you to marry me tonight. I'm just asking if maybe we could start officially planning for that. Like in the next year or so. If you want that. I sat up and looked at him. Really looked at him. This man who'd given me shelter when I had nowhere to go. Who'd believed in me when my family didn't. Who'd celebrated every success and supported me through every setback. I want that, I said. I want all of it. The planning, the future, the life together. Yes. His smile was brilliant. Yeah. Absolutely yes. He kissed me and it felt like coming home. Like everything finally clicking into place. When we pulled apart, he was grinning. So do we tell people now? Or wait? Let's wait. Let tonight be about the business. We can share our news later. Whenever you're ready. That night, lying in bed, I reflected on the journey. A year ago, I'd been at my lowest point. Unemployed, living with my mother, mocked by my family, convinced I was failing. Now I had a thriving business. A man I loved who loved me back. A healed relationship with my family. Recognition from my industry. A future that looked bright. But more than any of that, I had self-respect. I knew my worth. I didn't need external validation to know I was doing good work, living an honest life, being true to my values. That was the real victory. Not the award, not the business success, not even the relationship. The victory was learning to trust myself. To bet on myself. To stand up for what was right even when it cost me everything I thought I needed. The next morning, Jordan woke me with coffee and pancakes in bed. What's this? I asked, laughing. Celebrating my award-winning girlfriend who's also possibly my future fiancé. Is that allowed? It's definitely allowed. We spent the morning lazy and happy, talking about nothing important. Then my phone started buzzing with messages. Interview requests from business magazines. Consulting inquiries from potential clients. Congratulations from people I'd worked with. My business email was even busier. 5 new client requests overnight. 3 speaking invitations for conferences. 2 requests to guest lecture at business schools. This is overwhelming, I said, scrolling through everything. This is success, Jordan corrected. And you're ready for it. You've been building toward this for months. Now it's here. He was right. I'd spent so long fighting for recognition, for respect, for the chance to prove myself. Now that I had it, I could actually enjoy it. I spent the afternoon responding to inquiries, prioritizing the ones that aligned with my values and expertise. Nicole would help sort through the rest on Monday. That evening, Beth and Trevor stopped by. She was exactly as Trevor had described. Quiet, kind, with an easy smile and a teacher's patience. She asked thoughtful questions about my work and genuinely listened to the answers. Trevor talks about you constantly, she said. He's so proud of what you've built. He's been really supportive. Especially after everything that happened with his ex. He told me about that. About how he didn't support you at first. He feels terrible. We've moved past it. That's what family does. We make mistakes and we forgive each other. Later, after they left, Jordan said, she's good for him. Real. Honest. Nothing like Vanessa. Thank goodness. He deserves someone genuine. Sunday morning, I went for a run alone, needing time to process everything. The award. The business growth. The engagement plans. The healed family relationships. A year of transformation compressed into one overwhelming package. As I ran through familiar streets, I thought about the Simone who'd started this journey. Scared. Doubting herself. Willing to settle for less because she didn't believe she deserved more. That Simone was gone. Or maybe not gone, just evolved. Transformed by hardship into someone stronger, more confident, more clear about her values. I ran past the grind, past my mother's house, past the Tech Vista building. All the places that had been part of my story. All the places that had shaped who I'd become. When I got back to the apartment, Jordan was on the phone with his contractor, discussing details for the third grind location. He waved at me, smiling, and I felt a rush of love and gratitude. This was my life now. Not perfect but real. Not easy but meaningful. Not what I'd planned but better than I'd imagined. Monday morning, I went to my office early. Nicole had organized all the new inquiries into priority categories. We spent 2 hours sorting through opportunities, deciding which ones fit our mission and which ones to decline. You could double your rates, Nicole observed. After that award, people will pay premium prices. Let's be strategic. Raise them gradually, but don't price out smaller companies that need help. I want to be accessible to businesses that genuinely want to improve, not just wealthy ones that can afford consultants. That's why you won the award, Nicole said. You actually care about the work, not just the money. At noon, Theo called. Have you seen your online mentions? No, why? Your acceptance speech went viral. Someone posted it on social media, and it's been shared thousands of times. People are calling you inspirational. I pulled up my social media. Sure enough, a video of my speech had over 50,000 views. The comments were overwhelmingly positive. People talking about their own struggles with self-doubt. People finding courage in my story. It was humbling and terrifying at the same time. This is a lot, I told Theo. This is your moment. Own it. Use the platform to help others. That's what you're good at. He was right. I wrote a blog post that afternoon about my journey. Honest and vulnerable. About losing my job, my family's disappointment, building a business from nothing, facing an ethics complaint, coming out the other side. Within hours, it had hundreds of comments. People sharing their own stories. People asking for advice. People finding hope in my experience. That night, I showed Jordan the responses. You're inspiring people, he said. I'm just being honest about my experience. That's what makes it inspiring. You're not pretending it was easy or that you have all the answers. You're showing people that success is messy and hard and worth it anyway. Over the next few weeks, my life settled into a new normal. Busier than before but more fulfilling. Speaking engagements where I talked about ethical business practices. Consulting projects that challenged me. Media interviews where I shared my philosophy on integrity-driven consulting. Through it all, Jordan was my constant. Coming home to him each evening. Sharing meals and conversations and quiet moments. Planning our future together. Thanksgiving arrived. My mother hosted as always, but this year was different. Trevor brought Beth, who fit seamlessly into the family. My mother treated me with respect and genuine interest. The tension that used to permeate every gathering was gone. We went around the table sharing what we were grateful for. I'm grateful for second chances, my mother said. For children who forgive their parents' mistakes. For seeing my daughter become the woman I always knew she could be. I'm grateful for lessons learned, Trevor added. For a sister who showed me what real strength looks like. And for Beth, who reminds me every day what genuine partnership means. When it was my turn, I looked around the table. My family imperfect but here. Jordan beside me, his hand finding mine under the table. I'm grateful for the journey, I said. For every hard moment that taught me something important. For family that came back when I needed them. For love that appeared when I least expected it. For the chance to build a life that reflects who I really am. I wouldn't change any of it. After dinner, my mother pulled me aside. I saw the blog post you wrote. About your journey. About us. About what happened. I hope that was okay. I didn't use names, but it was more than okay. It was honest. And it made me realize how much you must have been hurting when I chose to believe Vanessa over you. I'm sorry, Simone. Truly, deeply sorry. I know, Mom. We've moved past it. Have we? Because I don't know if I've fully forgiven myself. I took her hand. Then let me help you with that. You made a mistake. You've apologized repeatedly. You've shown through your actions that you've changed. That's all any of us can do. Forgive yourself, Mom. I have. She hugged me tightly and I felt something release. The last piece of pain from that horrible period finally letting go. December brought more success. Brooks Consulting landed our biggest client yet, a Fortune 500 company wanting to implement my collaborative consulting model across multiple divisions. The contract was worth more money than I'd made in 3 years at my previous job. Jordan's third grind location opened to great fanfare. Business was booming. He hired a general manager so he could step back slightly, focus on the creative aspects he loved. Christmas morning we exchanged gifts in our pajamas. I gave him a first edition book by his favorite author. He gave me a leather portfolio with Simone Brooks, CEO, embossed on the front. You're not just a consultant anymore, he explained. You're building an empire. Might as well own the title. Then he pulled out a small box. The ring box. I know we talked about waiting, he said. But life is short and I love you and I don't want to wait anymore. Simone Brooks, will you marry me? The answer was immediate and certain. Yes. Absolutely yes. He slid the ring on my finger and it fit perfectly. Like everything about us fit perfectly. We called our families. My mother cried happy tears. Trevor congratulated us both. Beth said she'd love to help plan whenever we were ready. That evening we went to the grind. Jordan had closed for Christmas but we had keys. We sat at our usual table, drinking coffee, talking about wedding plans and future dreams. What do you want for the wedding? Jordan asked. Small. Intimate. Just people who really matter. Perfect. That's what I want too. And Jordan? I want to keep my name professionally. Brooks Consulting has brand recognition now. But personally, I'm happy to be Mrs. Carter. You could hyphenate. Brooks Carter. Maybe. Let's think about it. We talked late into the night about all the possibilities ahead. Where to hold the ceremony. When to have it. What came next for both our businesses. Whether we wanted kids eventually. All the conversations couples have when they're planning a future together. As I sat there, ring on my finger, man I loved beside me, business thriving, family healed, I realized something important. A year ago, sitting at that dinner table while Vanessa mocked me, I'd wanted nothing more than revenge. I'd wanted to see her fail. Wanted my family to see they'd been wrong about her. But real victory wasn't Vanessa's failure. It was my success. It was building a life so fulfilling that what anyone else thought or did didn't matter. I didn't need revenge because I'd already won. Not by tearing someone else down but by building myself up. Not by proving others wrong but by proving myself right. That was the real lesson. The real transformation. The real happy ending. Not revenge. Just success. Honest, hard-won, deeply satisfying success. And love. Real, genuine, supportive love from a man who saw me at my worst and stayed. From a family who'd failed me and came back. From clients who trusted me. From a life I'd built with integrity. I looked at Jordan, who was talking excitedly about honeymoon possibilities, his eyes bright with dreams for our future. I love you, I interrupted. He stopped mid-sentence and smiled. I love you too. What brought that on? Just realizing how lucky I am. How far I've come. How none of this would exist if that horrible dinner hadn't happened. So you're grateful for Vanessa's cruelty? No. But I'm grateful for what it taught me. That I'm stronger than I knew. That real success is built on honesty, not manipulation. That the people who matter will stick around, and the ones who don't aren't worth keeping. Those are good lessons. The best lessons. Hard one but worth it. We finished our coffee and locked up the grind. Walking home through the winter streets, hand in hand, I felt complete. Not because everything was perfect, but because everything was real. This was my life. Built from nothing. Forged through pain. Shaped by integrity. Sustained by love. And it was better than anything I could have imagined a year ago. Better than revenge. Better than vindication. Better than proving anyone wrong. Just better.